streaming again straight to YouTube.
Yeah. Like Nintendo removed a ton of music from YouTube because it was unauthorized upload of their soundtrack.
Alright, is it going for everybody? Are we back?
Looks like we're back.
It's still frozen for me, which is what it was, but if it's live for everyone else, that's good.
Refresh.
Yeah, looks like we good.
Are we moving?
Yes. As far as I can see, at least.
It's not showing up for me. Why did it sign me out?
Zelda Masters video, the best dirty jokes in Breath of the Wild. We did something like that.
Yeah, we did.
Why did it sign me out again? Sign in.
No, Luke, no.
It kept signing me out.
Join us. Anyways,
I can't. It's not showing up for me now.
Oh no. Burn it. Burn the whole system.
All right, so it looks good. The Wild. We sound good. Yeah, we look.
Sounds good.
We look beautiful.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, the reason we look beautiful is because we have all of these people in the chat that are so beautiful that it just radiates towards us.
That sounds right.
Why is it not popping up for me?
Everyone, if you can, give this video a thumb up really quick. I know some of you thumbed up the other ones, but we need to thumb this one so it'll get to the top of everyone's subscription feed so they can join in and watch. And if you can share it on your Facebook, your Twitter, Instagram, whatever, that would also really help out. And we can officially begin this. Surely there will be no problems because instead of going through Restream and streaming to Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and everything, we're just streaming straight to YouTube. So hopefully everything will be fine. So Daniel was
one guy on Twitch.
Daniel was talking. No, you're breathtaking. We're not going to keep doing that and interrupting. Sorry. Okay. Also, we are sponsored by EWIN.
Oh yeah, that's a chair.
Yeah,
they're very comfy.
Yeah,
but yes, Zelda.
I want one of those chairs.
Do you live in Canada? Because that's going to be a problem.
Is it? Is that going to be a problem?
If he lives in Canada.
Oh no. Yeah, that's true. Oh, for EWIN, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so Daniel.
Jesse. Where were we? Zelda.
What? Yeah, Zelda.
Aww.
What? No, who said something?
What? I heard that.
There's going to be people watching the edited version of this that goes on YouTube talk about the story of Breath of the Wild 2. Don't talk about you loving each other.
Stop.
That's so...
I can't help it. I look into Jesse's big, beautiful eyes.
Xavier says, you guys should cherish them.
You do.
Finally, the damn link. Oh, we can't say bad words on here. Sorry.
No
Finally, the D link to the live stream kept taking me back to the recorded segment of the... Sorry, Gamer Bud. There was some issues that we had, so we're only streaming to YouTube right now. Everyone watching that would watch on Twitch, we're only on YouTube, not on my personal Facebook, which I thought was a fun idea. He has a wife. We all have wives in the future.
No, I have one right now.
Oh. So future you doesn't have a wife?
Probably.
All right. Also, to explain it before we officially begin again, at the bottom it says support with Super Chat. So what that means, we usually have the Zelda mailbag is how we end the podcast. There's so many people that ask questions during the show, especially right now it's fine. We only have 18, 20 people watching, but sometimes it gets up to 50, 60, upwards to 100 sometimes. And everyone is asking questions. We obviously can't stop what we're talking about and answer a question because that would be unprofessional. So we save the best questions and remember the questions that you guys post to answer last. And if you guys really want your question answered, you'll save them and not post them and just post them at the end when we officially begin the Zelda mailbag. Then you can get your question answered. But if you give us a super chat, even if it's a penny, just 1 penny, we will stop what we're talking about and answer your question or talk about like a little mini theory, just like say, oh, yeah, that's cool. This is what would happen, blah, blah, blah. So we left off. Daniel was talking about what kind of shampoo he uses for his back hair.
What back hair?
What?
No, continue, Daniel. Sorry.
Oh, yes. So, Dove, mostly.
No.
Oh.
You have to shave it. The answer's nothing. Get it waxed.
Get it waxed, yeah. Like Steve
Yeah,
Carell. Right. Legend of Zelda is a video game.
Yeah, so how's it going to be
That's
dark?
what I heard.
How's it going to be dark?
So I think it's just
They're
going
going to turn the lights out?
Yeah, exactly.
They're
Pretty
gonna,
much that.
They're going to
like
they're
they're
going to turn
be,
the contrast on the TV, you know?
You turn it
Just
down.
turn it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel,
exactly.
show us your back hair. Irish Spring.
There's nothing to show. There's nothing to show.
If you get it, you have to shave it or get it waxed or something.
And you pluck each individual one with tweezers.
Unless you get lucky and you get a girl that for some reason likes body hair on a guy, then maybe it'll work out, but it's like it's kind of odd, you know?
Yep.
But then again, I'm the type of person that's like go on a date with Paya. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. The girl that likes Link.
One of many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like 10 girls in Breath of the Wild that like Link.
Yeah. That's why Breath of the Wild's going to be dark. He has a relationship with all of those girls at the same time.
Oh, no.
And they all find out. Yeah. And it's like the Triforce isn't going to save you this time.
And then all of the girls fight Ganon at the same time to win his heart.
No, and then
wow.
like they're all so
we all know who's the most powerful, and that's the flower.
No. See, they're all so mad at Link, right? And they're all like attacking him and stuff, and he's like begging the goddesses for help. And then Sidon walks in and is like, "Hey, girls," and then they're all like, "Who? Link? Who? What?"
Who?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Tingle walks in.
Oh
like,
no, no, they couldn't handle Tingle.
No, they couldn't handle.
They named an entire island after him. All right,
Yes.
Daniel, seriously, go. Why do you keep getting off topic?
Yeah, that's me. That's my bad. But yes, Twilight Princess has a a literal dark palette to it, like when you're looking at the game. So it's dark in that way, but also it is more just like creepy visuals and things like that makes it darker. But the overall like tone of it is pretty just like it hits all the sort of Zelda notes. It doesn't really do anything extra out of its way to be like creepier or weirder than any other Zelda game, really.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like kidnapping the kid, right?
Yeah, but that happens in Wind Waker, right?
Oh yeah.
Like 3 kids get kidnapped in Wind Waker.
But you don't really see them get kidnapped. Like on this one, it's like the girl's like hanging on a pole or whatever.
True.
So maybe that, I don't know.
So I mean it's just
maybe it just got the
feel like
teen
they hit
rating
a lot of
just
the same
because it
notes,
looked realistic.
I think that's what it is. Is it just because of the visuals? Is a lot of people are like it's such a dark game, but really, I feel like it's not really that much darker than any other Zelda game. Majora's Mask, on the other hand, I do feel like is darker, and not the time mechanics that you mentioned aid that feeling, but it's really just the weird stuff in that game is what makes it darker, because it's not just like if you look at the game, unlike Twilight Princess, it doesn't have a dark palette. Like it's very bright and colorful, but then there's just all this weird dark stuff, and it also helps that the villain in the game isn't just I'm an evil guy who is evil for no reason. He's like a tortured soul who's corrupted by mysterious power, and there's a ton of unanswered questions and stuff like that. So it's I feel like darker for different reasons, and so I think when Aonuma is comparing it to that, I don't necessarily think that he's going to say like you've got a time limit or you've got 72 hours to beat this game or something like that, but more just that this is going to be the same bright aesthetic maybe as the first Breath of the Wild,
Yeah,
but
well,
there's
we
gonna
already
be
seen the
something
aesthetic. And
yeah,
like the way it
exactly.
looks.
But it's gonna be feeling more claustrophobic, and it's gonna have a psychological element to it that's a lot creepier. There's gonna be just some weird stuff that's gonna get under your skin.
Oh, in the chat, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but while it's here, before more people comment and it gets taken away, Gus, who is if this is the same Gus, he's actually a new Patreon supporter, and I think he's a Patreon supporter of you as well.
He is Gus Laz.
Yeah,
yes.
So I don't know if he's doing both of us. I'm not sure. But anyways, he says Majora's Mask deals with a lot of death, or it deals with death a lot. So maybe that could be what Aonuma's referring to, like main characters end up dying.
Could be, because it's not even just that there's a lot of death and that like the moon's gonna fall, and if it does, everyone's gonna die. Like there's like Darmani, who dies right in front of you. Deku Butler's son dies off screen. Mikau dies in front of you. Like you pull him out of the water and then he walks 2 steps and then collapses and dies.
That's probably the most tragic.
Yeah, and then the people that are already dead, you're having to literally put their souls to rest.
Yeah.
And you don't see that in Twilight Princess or any of the other darker Zelda games.
Yeah. So the way that I was thinking about it relating to Breath of the Wild, sorry Luke, I'm talking really fast so hopefully I can get over it, is think about some of the older characters like Impa, who's already like 120 something or 130, however old she is. So imagine something happening to her to where she actually dies. Like in Twilight Princess, there's the scene where I think the Zora is like sick and ill, and like you have to carry his body or take his body to the doctor for whatever reason. Maybe there's a situation like that to where Impa gets sick or cursed with something, like how the Great Deku Tree got cursed and died, and you just can't save her. Like if she was younger, then yes, you would have been able to save her because her body would have been, more fit and ready and stuff. But at her old age, where her body was already shutting down anyways, there's nothing that you can do. So maybe it's a situation like that. And Zelda, Impa being the one who is the caretaker for Zelda, kind of like, Batman and his butler, I guess, if that's a good comparison.
Sure.
Yeah, like Bruce Wayne and Alfred. I don't know. I was thinking like that, like how Alfred takes care of Bruce Wayne and everything. He comes in, he's got the scars on his back and stuff, and it's Alfred's job to like clean him up and heal him, stitch him back together. Maybe it's the same thing with Zelda. Not as brutal, but like Impa takes care of Zelda, and like there's that relationship, and we've seen the relationship before, like in the older Zelda games, where like Ocarina of Time, Impa is Zelda's caretaker as well, and they have such a close relationship that Zelda herself ends up becoming Sheik as like a way out of respect for everything she learned from the Sheikah tribe and Impa. So there's always been that close relationship no matter what the game is. We didn't really see it in Breath of the Wild, but you assume it's there based off of common sense, really. So my thought is, what if there's a scene where it's like Zelda and she's like crying or whatever, it's like a really sad moment because Impa's dying and there's nothing, like maybe you go on a quest to get a potion or something, like a certain crystal or rune, a fairy of some kind, because fairies bring you back from the dead. I don't know. I'm trying to think like Zelda logic. Like you try to get something to help bring her back to life. You get it and you come back, but it still doesn't work because she's just so old.
Now, I always understood it that with fairies, it doesn't actually bring you back to life. It just brings you back from the brink of death. Like if you're already dead, you can't use a fairy to bring someone back to life. But if you're dying, then the fairy will bring you back to a non-dying state. That's always how my understanding was. Like if it's your last hit and you're about to die, that last hit the fairy will kick in and heal you. But
anyways, to end what I was saying, that's basically what I was saying, is like seeing the person literally die on screen in front of you, and then Zelda crying over her body and everything, like she's on the bed or something like that, like we had with the Zora kid in Twilight Princess.
Wait a minute. If they just had some fairies, they wouldn't have needed to put Link in the Shrine of Resurrection.
Yeah. But what do you guys think? Like, I think it could be something like that, where like it's dealing with death and tragedy and loss a bit more. Like in Breath of the Wild, everything was already gone, destroyed, and stuff, but now it's rebuilt. And although Hyrule's rebuilt, the people that lived through it are now at the end of their lives. Yeah. So that's
Luke,
basically my thoughts. So Luke, you go ahead, give your thoughts. You haven't spoken at all.
Yeah, I'm
just speak.
Just kind of here.
Nice. Back to you, Daniel.
All right.
All right. Let's do it. All right. All right. So I do think. Okay. First of all, before I say anything, I just want to say that Darmani, you don't actually watch him die.
True.
He's already dead. You just heal his soul.
Yeah.
Because he's like, it's kind of like the hero shade where you ease his regrets, and you take his form and put him to ease by fulfilling what he wanted to do. But anyways, I think in terms of like the darkest Zelda game, I think it could possibly be maybe like Majora's Mask, because when you were talking about how like maybe a timer based, it made me think like maybe like Ganondorf is coming back and you only have so long before his power fully reawakens and destroys Hyrule or something like that. But like maybe for like the darkest Zelda game, like they could really go all out with it. Like maybe like minimal. Okay, obviously like cursing doesn't make a game darker, but like it'd be weird to have a Zelda game with cursing. But if they wanted to do it, that would be weird. But I could maybe see it with the right characters and design and stuff like that, like possibly, because since Nintendo's trying to just reinvent the Zelda name, that would be, I guess, something they could try. There's a lot of different ways Nintendo could pull off a dark Zelda game, because they've already tried to do the edginess with Twilight Princess. They've done the psychological, like you said, psychological time limit with Majora's Mask. And then they could also do anything related to just like morbid stuff. Like they could totally have just like a random colony of enemies just go into, you can like watch this in the gameplay, just watch a colony go into a village and kill people, and you can see like everyone laying there on the ground dead, like women, children, and the soldiers and everything. Like that would be pretty dark for a Zelda game. We've never had a Zelda game where you see people die. Usually it's like it's off screen or it's implied. So actually seeing stuff like that would be crazy for a Zelda game.
Right.
And if it had a direct connection to Link, it would also really help with his character development as a person in the games. Because I think now with the new Zelda formula, because Link is not nameable anymore, I think they're trying to get rid of that connection between the player and the character you play as, and they're trying to make Link more like a Western video game character, where he's got character development, he's got flaws and stuff, and you relate to him that way rather than just being that Link. They're trying to modernize him, and I think that's pretty cool.
I agree. It's something I did misspeak there when I said Darmani, but Mikau definitely does die in front of you.
Yeah, he
Xavier in the chat mentioned as well, the champions are dead in Breath of the Wild as well. So it's not like there's no death in Zelda. That, of course, wasn't what I meant to say. But the way Breath of the Wild deals with death versus the way Majora's Mask does, it has a very different tone. It's a lot less somber. Because even still, like when you meet the champions, their spirits aren't plagued with regrets. They're like, no, I'm still ready to just carry out my mission, and then I'll be at peace. And that's it, right? And then they still just help you out, right? It's not like they are plagued with all these regrets and you have to like help them move on and come to peace with their own death and stuff like that. they just do that naturally after completing their mission to help you defeat Calamity Ganon. And even still, like, it sucks all your friends are dead. That's but it's also the way that just the overall tone of it just doesn't have that somber note where in Majora's Mask, when, say again, probably my favorite example, when Mikau dies, Link basically holds a funeral for him right there.
He does, yeah. He uses
the guitar, and then even with Darmani as well, like, again, he has got this grave thing, and you go, and Darmani has this whole visual, like his life kind of flashes before his eyes, and he sees Goron's cheering for him, and kind of comes to peace with it. And even though it's like, okay, he's put them to rest now and everything's okay, there's just the whole scene has like a very aided very much by the Song of Healing and how good a song that is, but it's just got such a somber tone in comparison to it. It's one of those moments where it's the first time you do it, you're like, you just have to like take a moment playing it. Where in Breath of the Wild, I never felt like, oh man, like I never had that somber feeling knowing that they were dead. I was just like, oh, okay, hey, there's Mipha's ghost, and cool. Now she's still gonna continue helping me with, and even still, they park the Divine Beast, and then you use their power, and she pops up. Her spirit is like, yeah, you're healed, buddy. You're all good. Like, there just doesn't have that element of that somber element of just like, and even though in both cases you're dealing with people's spirits and stuff like that, and then there's all this fantastical settings, Majora's Mask, the death in that game feels so much more real, even though there's like fewer smaller scale deaths to it. It feels more personal and more real, I guess. Just something. So that makes me worry, because of all the death and stuff. If Breath of the Wild 2 is supposed to be darker than Majora's Mask, who is Aonuma killing?
Oh, no.
Like, Jesse said Impa, which I wouldn't feel too bad about, because I don't feel like you get super attached to Impa in the first game.
Well, I would say characters like Impa. Like, it wouldn't be emotional to us.
She's like, oh, Link, you're finally awake.
Yeah.
Are you ready for exposition?
It wouldn't be spoilers for us, but it would be... Not spoilers, sorry. Someone said spoilers in the chat. I don't know. Like,
it's not spoilers, because we don't know. We're speculating.
But, like, it wouldn't be that sad to us. Like, maybe hardcore Zelda fans that have Impa as their favorite characters. But with... like, if you look at that moment through the eyes of Zelda,
right?
Like, she was trapped for 100 years. She finally gets released to live her life, to fix everything. And, like, a few months later, like, tragedy happens. And, like, how the Great Deku Tree got poisoned and died, there was nothing you can do. Maybe something similar happens to...
Maybe, but they'd have to write it really well, because even now, like, I would still feel more sad about Darmani dying, who's a character you didn't already know. You meet him and he's already dead. That would feel sad.
What about
if Mipha died? Or
who's the young Goron?
Impa.
who's the young Goron that Joe does the voice for?
Yunobo,
yeah. Like, what if it's someone like Yunobo dying?
It depends how they write it, though, because if they write it the same, like, I'll say it, Daruk's my favorite champion. I've said it before.
He already did.
But he's already dead. But him finding out he's dead, I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm like moved by this, I was just like, okay, it's just part of the story. So they'd have to write it in a very different way than they do for Daruk and the other champions.
Like if they killed off like the new champions or whatever, like Yunobo,
like Riju and Sidon.
Riju, Sidon, and the Rito one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Tebo.
Yeah, Tebo. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And also it made me wonder, when you were talking about the Song of Healing, it got me thinking, I wonder if the reason Link never healed, because when he became the hero Shade, he was full of regret and stuff. I wonder if he got desensitized from the power of the song, and that's why he couldn't like be at ease or something.
Yeah,
because he learned it and he played it for all these other people and he helped out all these other people, but in that path he got desensitized from the power of the song, and when it was time for him to be at ease, he couldn't
move on.
He couldn't move on. He couldn't carry on forward. son.
In the chat, RPG says, Sidon must go. No.
Sidon wants to go.
He's got to go. He's... No,
Got
then we
to
can
go.
grind him
Luke,
all over.
Do you have Instagram?
I do.
What is it?
Is it Hylian Luke?
It is Hylian.Luke.
Spoilers. Oh my god.
You can follow me?
Yeah.
But
All right,
Yeah.
everyone that has Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Hylian.Luke.
No,
Self-plug.
I'm sharing it to get Instagram people to like come over. So that's what I've been doing. I've been sharing it on Facebook groups and everything.
Yeah, I saw you tagged me one time with my personal one, and I was like, "Yikes! Don't do that."
whoops.
On Facebook?
No, on Instagram.
Okay.
You have a multiple Instagrams now?
Yeah, I have my personal one, and I have my YouTube one.
Ah, I see. I'm learning things.
Ah!
Plug. I'm learning.
I'm gonna like watch my Instagram now and see if I get any followers.
What? None.
Okay, so besides death, what do you think could happen?
Well, probably just some weird stuff. I mean, that's the thing as well, is that part of what's dark about Termina is that it's just things just feel a bit off, and I think in part of that, the soundtrack is really good. I mentioned this in an old video I made, where you listen to like thematically similar areas. I think the comparison I made in that old video, Ocarina of Time's Lake Hylia and Majora's Mask's Great Bay they serve the same function in their respective games, right? But you listen to the soundtrack for those two areas, and you get the remixed area theme in Majora's Mask that has this just distorted organ sound, and it's just got a much darker feel to it because of that. But also just it's not just, oh, the lake's drained or whatever. It's just like things just feel kind of off. That's like Zoras are just dying because the water's warming up and it's all polluted or whatever it is.
Yeah.
In there, it's a global warming. And I don't know, but they can't catch fish. They're gonna starve to death. That kind of thing. And it's like it's again hitting kind of similar notes that previous Zelda games have hit, but for some reason, just the way it's executed just has such a more a heavier impact.
Yeah. So the just taking the dark part literal.
Mm-hmm.
What about like if they add in a dark world version of Hyrule? Like
again, we see him in a dark cave.
Yeah, we did have like the sacred, which is weird because the Sacred Realm is completely different than Hyrule. Like it's a different realm. Like that's where the Chamber of Sages is and the Temple of Light, everything, all that nonsense. Like that's there. In the Sacred Realm. But then the Sacred Realm gets turned into the Dark World, but when it's turned into the Dark World, for some reason it goes from looking like the Sacred Realm should look to being like a dark, corrupted mirror image of Hyrule. So it went from looking one way to looking another way.
Well, do we know what it looked before it was corrupted, though? Like, what if it would look like a really, like a bomb, awesome version of Hyrule? Like what if someone lived in the Sacred Realm and went to Hyrule, they were like, "Is this the Dark World? Like this looks so bad compared to the Sacred Realm." Like they could have already been a mirror world.
Yeah.
In this, right?
Possibly,
Ooh.
but like it never actually says what it looked like. So I always imagined it looked like, just like when you think of like a really holy place that's like it's a realm created by the gods. For the gods.
Yeah.
Like
so my
Hyrule is a realm created by the gods for Hylians.
Yes.
Like little who cares about these little pests.
These little peons.
But this place is built for them to worship us. This place is built for us to whatever.
Yeah. Now, I always figured the Silent Realm and Skyward Sword, for something in my head, always made it click that that was like almost the Sacred Realm and Hyrule, or the surface. It wasn't called Hyrule yet, but those two planes of existence overlapping.
Yeah.
And that's what the Silent Realm, those trials in Skyward Sword were. And that was because I always thought it was just kind of like a dream world in Link's head. But then when, spoilers, near the end of the game, when you actually obtain the Triforce, you go briefly into the Silent Realm and get the Triforce from there. But that makes no sense because the Triforce is in the Sacred Realm. So, and those rooms where you get the Triforce in the Silent Realm look suspiciously like the Sky Keep. That's what the dungeon's called, Sky Keep.
Yes.
Yeah, like rooms in that, and also like what we've seen of artwork of the Sacred Realm and other places with the very sort of like Greek architecture, pillars and stuff like that. So I always felt like that part he actually crossed into the Sacred Realm when he got the Triforce in that game, and the other times when he went into the Silent Realm, it was just sort of these two planes, sort of this overlap between them.
Yeah,
that he
like
crossed into.
so the Twilight Realm. Sorry, but the Twilight Realm is a completely different area than Hyrule. But in Twilight Princess, like when you go into the Twilight, you're not going into the Twilight Realm. It's overlap, like the Twilight is overlapping, like overtaking Hyrule. So that's the same as what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Like it's not, but the thing is, only Link's spirit can cross over into that overlap, which is why he has to go do those trials.
Yeah. What's up with your camera?
Right? What do you mean?
Like it keeps like shutting off and coming back on. Have you not noticed?
I don't know.
Thanos is here.
I don't know. I didn't notice.
But I think that's a good idea though. But like continuing with it is like
theory time.
going like if they added in like we already know what Hyrule looks like and everything, but if they did just flip it on its side, and just like the Silent Realm was a mirror copy, whatever, of Hyrule, the Dark World was a mirror copy, whatever. Lowrule looked very suspiciously like the Dark World. But it wasn't the Dark World.
But we know that Lowrule looked different before they destroyed their Triforce, right? Yeah. And then it became dark. It became dark. It became like a dark world.
So, do you think a new version of whatever the new type of Dark World, like whatever the second version is, do you think it's going to be like the Sacred Realm, like the corrupted Sacred Realm coming back and like you going to it, or do you think they would have a brand new Dark World just for this game? As much as
I would love to go back to the Dark World, but I feel like knowing Nintendo, it'll just be like a new place.
Yeah. Like they've always had that.
Even Lowrule, they could have had it in that game and been like, yes, go back to the Dark World, but they made it a new place.
That way they could have the
weirdly similar, but
yeah, they could keep all of the same geography and major architecture and stuff. Like all of the major areas in the new Dark World is going to be where all the major areas are. Except Breath of the Wild's Hyrule.
The mountain has snow on it now.
Yeah,
and that's how you know Lowrule is different.
The lake will be flooded, or like the desert area will just be like a giant swamp area or something. Maybe Twin Peaks will be like a giant pyramid or something. The dueling peaks, like stuff like that. They could come up with some really cool ideas, and that would save a lot of time to where they don't have to create an entirely new world. They can just do like a quick re-edit of this world, and then they can even make the world like they already have the lighting and everything for it. Like whenever the sun, the blood moon comes up, and the air has like a dark reddish purple light to it, like everything
all those
is
little particle effects. And...
they could have they could reuse that idea of the blood moon coming, but when the blood moon comes, instead of it resetting everything, because there's no point to that because Ganon's dead now supposedly, so when the blood moon comes, it's not the blood moon, it's something else that they made up for the game story, whatever.
Right.
And like when it comes, it takes you to the dark world. So like that's your way to get in and out is like whenever the moon shifts or whatever.
Oof,
Then
sounds like it'll be hard, but
and
it'll
then
be hard to access.
yeah, and then like halfway through the game, you get something that lets you travel between the two on your own. So I don't know.
Means, man.
Like
Well,
maybe
it's,
every 3 days it shifts or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But Luke, do you have any more ideas? Because I'm done with this topic, so we can move on to the rest.
Give us your ideas so we can steal them.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was something I was gonna say. I was gonna say when you guys were talking about like the more different things about the dark world, it made me think like what if the reason it's a dark Zelda game is because instead of psychological or just edgy darkness, it's dark through illusion, and the entire game you
Link's
think
just tripping.
he's just on massive acid.
It's all those mushrooms that he put in his food.
Those Hylian shrooms.
It's all those Hylian shrooms that he put.
Do you guys
into
see my
his,
shirt?
Hey, that's so cool.
It's
I
me
love it.
and Layla. She has a shirt
Yeah.
like it. Hey guys,
Can
do
I
you
buy
see my
one?
shirt?
Can I buy one?
if you want.
Can I buy you
$80.
a drink?
$80 and you can take me to dinner at Olive Garden and buy me chicken Alfredo.
I call this salad.
Okay, but and
Go on.
Yeah, okay, seriously, go on. I'm gonna go get a drink real quick. So
He doesn't want to
you
listen
talk.
to you.
Earlier I said I was already done. I gave it all of my ideas. So
He's rudely leaving again.
and thank you, Gus. It is a cool shirt.
how shrewd? Okay,
Rude.
shrewd, Jesse, shrewd.
But I want to hear your idea. Now that he's gone, you can talk.
Wait, what is,
Finally.
is that Ivysaur? What is he doing?
So yeah, he's putting like a little Bulbasaur up there. He's just,
Is that Bulbasaur?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's like half cut off. Yeah, he doesn't have the big leaves. He's Bulbasaur. Why is he? Thought he was going to the bathroom. What are you doing, Jesse?
What is happening? Oh my
no.
goodness.
He's gonna be editing this.
Oh my
and-
gosh. Oh,
Oh.
we got a donation from Dragon Fist 900.
Yeah, do you think Breath of the Wild 2 will be darker than Majora's Mask was? Well, that's kind of what we're talking about right now, Dragon Fist. But
Yeah.
according to Aonuma, who you might know as the Zelda Man, he's kind of a
The
big-
Zelda man.
he is the Zelda guy. He's the guy, man. He
The guy!
He said it was. That's what he said. He was in interviews. He said it's going to be dark. It's going to be darker than Majora's Mask, even. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Wow, that's what spawned this whole discussion."
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
like to take him at his word, except for
Yeah.
when I don't.
So yeah, I was thinking like, what if it's like it's dark through illusion, and you think the whole story, you think everything's going like in this one direction, and then somewhere in like the plot twist of the story, it takes like this 270-degree turn, and then like Link or Zelda like lose a limb or something.
Ah,
Like it'd be in this. Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy?
well, you know,
And-
there's concept art for the first game where Link had a Sheikah tech prosthetic hand as well.
Yeah. And I was like also thinking about that because I was like, in Breath of the Wild 2 teaser, we see Link's like right arm, his sword arm, gets possessed by that green energy, and it's probably an evolution of that concept where he had his arm be the weapon for all the items and stuff. So I wonder if that's gonna be the thing, and he'll use his sword with his left hand instead, so that it kind of shows how he becomes left-handed, maybe.
Ah,
Or-
people really like
or-
Lefty Link.
I want Left Link back. Like I loved Eiji Aonuma's explanation for Breath of the
Okay,
Wild
this
Link
is
being right-handed.
BS.
He was like, because you push the B button with your right thumb or
It's
something
like
like
it's
that.
never been a problem before for like 30 years.
It's never been a problem.
Like
So
30 years and no one complained. No one was playing A Link to the Past and was like, man, I can't believe I'm pressing B with my right thumb. And
And he's left-handed. What is this?
what the heck? And I can't believe he doesn't.
Oh, Geek is in the chat.
Ooh, Geek Apprentice.
Geek Apprentice. The banana.
Yeah. Sorry, can only be here for a moment. Need to go to bed. Hi, y'all. Have a great podcast. Thank you, Geek.
Thank you.
Say hi to Squirtle.
I'm just not even gonna. But
Jesse, that's really hot.
But yeah, I like the idea of like exploring more where this energy being absorbed into his hand goes, because I even think like they could do something really cool with that where it's have you ever seen, what's that movie called? Princess Mononoke? Am I thinking of the right one where the guy's hand gets like corrupted?
Yeah.
Yeah, or even Metroid Prime 3, geez, where she gets like a bit of the radiation poisoning from Phazon, and then slowly it builds up in her system more. So we could see something like that where this energy starts corrupting him more and more throughout the game, and I don't know, it could be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Something
also, RPG said in the chat, so you either have a sword or the shield. And
no,
that's where I think it would be really cool, because if you had the energy filled like hand or whatever, you could pull a Doctor Strange and just form a shield with like your energy, and then like you have the Master Sword in the other hand, and then I think that'd be really cool, because then you could use Link's like magical hand to make all the items, and instead of getting items in the games, instead you get like maybe spell books or something, and it teaches Link how to use the magic in his hand to create the items, so he can create like a hookshot like item where the magic kind of reaches out and he can pull himself with the magic.
I like it.
Hold on.
Or like a defense spell.
I posted something in like a geeky Facebook group that I go to, and it was saying, we are discussing all of the new Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 news and rumors on the podcast, because a lot of the people in there are already fans of the podcast. The first comment, I don't think he quite understood something, and he says, I think I can whip up a Zelda story, but when is the deadline? Also, what's the pay rate? And then someone commented to it, or replied, and said, these are important questions. Do we send stories directly to the princess, or does she use Submittable? And I'm like,
I think the second person is trolling the first person.
Yeah, well,
which
it's
Facebook
weird.
group did you put this in? Which?
Let me go look. It was
Was
weird.
it the podcast one?
No. It's one that I go to and talk to a bunch of people. It's called Horror, Paranormal, Mystery, Sci-Fi.
Okay, I'm gonna find it.
And then you're gonna troll on it.
I just gotta see.
Anyway,
you need
gotta
to
see.
all right, let's get rid of Squirtle here.
All right. Are we moving on?
I guess.
Yeah, we can move on.
We've been on this same topic for a bit now, but anyway, it's gonna be dark, is what we're trying to.
All right, 43 minutes. Can you write that down, Daniel? Put it on the Discord app.
43. Oh wait, yeah. Hang on, I'll type it.
Yeah.
43 minutes. Luke, why'd you type that?
That's how I was faster.
Okay.
Speed run. Okay.
You'll be speed running, typing in our Google Doc or our Discord chat. So
My microphone's being weird.
our next topic, Sir Jesse, is it? Are we doing number 2 here? Kind of laughable news. I guess it kind of actually this is a good segue into that. Speaking of Breath of the Wild news and rumors, that's what we're talking about on our other topic as well.
Yeah. Wait, do you want to do this one, or do you want me to do it?
Rumors. Sure. Well, it's up to you, man.
Rumors.
What do you want to do?
I'll read it out.
All right.
All right, so hello everyone, I am Jesse, or 𝐵𝐸𝐺𝐵, here with Daniel and Hylian Luke. Today we're going to be talking about a stupid rumor from a geek tyrant website.
GeekTyrant.com.
Yeah, this is 3 weeks ago, but I just found it very recently. The title says, a new rumor claims to have details about Breath of the Wild 2, including release window. It goes on to say, at this year's E3, Nintendo dropped a doozy of announcement with the direct sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Fans everywhere lost their collective minds. Well, according to a new rumor, we have a release window, name, and synopsis. The catch is that this rumor comes from 4chan. So take it with a very unhealthy amount of salt. That is the one thing.
Have a heart attack, like from all the sodium intake because of all the salt you're.
This is the thing.
Need to take.
It's okay when someone's talking and you just like casually say like, yeah, take it with a grain of salt, blah, blah, blah. But if you are a journalist, like you're actually writing for a website, this phrase is so overused. Like there are so many other, what is it? Like synonyms and stuff that you could use for it.
Jesse, they want the clicks.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking about the take it with a grain of salt thing. Like you could
The
switch it up,
clicks.
use other metaphors and stuff.
But Jesse,
what?
the clicks.
The clicks.
They want them.
They just want to. That's all they want.
Okay, I got it. At first I was like, how does that statement get them clicks? But then you're saying like they don't care, they just want the clicks. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly.
According to the rumor, Breath of the Wild 2 will be called Breath of Darkness. Breath of Darkness. Because the game's going to be dark. Get it?
Get it?
Get it?
It's gonna be dark.
It's gonna be dark.
It's gonna be dark. Dark through a lack of light.
Darkness. That was
Yeah.
my brother. Darkness.
Okay, so continuing.
Dark.
According to the rumor, Breath of the Wild 2 will be called Breath of Darkness and release at the same time as the Switch 2, sometimes called the Switch Pro by fans.
It's not a thing. It's not real.
Here's the thing. Switch 2 came out. No, Switch 2 will come out in like a few months, right?
What are you talking about? The improved Switch?
No,
Or are you talking
the
about
Switch Lite.
The Switch Lite, yeah, comes out like next month.
Yeah, that is technically the Switch 2. That is the second iteration, like the second revision, or the first revision, so the second model of the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Unless they're
first-
talking about the current, like the updated Switch model, which is
No,
just
they're
the normal
talking about the Switch
with a
Pro.
better
Like
battery.
they have Switch Pro highlighted. That's what they're talking about. So they think
that's not a thing.
just as Breath of the Wild released with the Switch, they think Breath of the Wild 2 will release with the Switch Pro, which would be interesting. Like if they did do that, I would definitely do it. Kind of like what they're doing with Pokemon and the Switch Lite. So, continuing, sometimes called Switch Pro by fans, which is rumored to be a more powerful Switch that will be exclusive to home use with no ability for. Okay, I get it now. The window is said to be somewhere between late 2020 and early 2021. This is a big window, but also would make sense as Nintendo will probably want the game to launch for holiday season, as here's the synopsis provided. So before we get to their story, that release window, that is like half a year. That is like a 6-month release window that they have pinned down there.
Yeah.
Like
late this one year, maybe early next.
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's.
That
Nah.
oh jeez. I do believe the game will release in 2020 though. Like I firmly believe that from all of the interviews and things that I've read.
Well, sure, that gives it 3 years after the first game released. Like.
Yeah. And Breath of the Wild was originally supposed to take 3 years. Before they found out they had no idea how to develop for HD consoles, and the Wii U turned out to be extremely difficult to develop for. So that's why it ended up taking a lot longer. and they had problems with the physics engine. And then when they decided, oh, we're getting close to fixing it, getting the engine exactly how we want, then Iwata comes in and is like, hey, put it on the Switch. And they're like, so now we have to work on 2 versions for 2 completely different game systems. So that's why it was delayed so long. But Breath of the Wild, as it is now, was originally meant to take 3 years. So Breath of the Wild 2, now everything is perfect. They're working on it on the Switch, not the Wii U, just the Switch, which everyone has said is extremely easy to develop for. So there is absolutely no reason that it would take longer than 3 years. Wind Waker took 2 to 3 years to make, and that was a brand new game on a brand new console using a brand new engine and a brand new art style. So yeah, anyways, continuing on, we have a lot of other videos that talk about all this stuff, but if you want to talk to one of us personally, especially me, you can reach out on Twitter or something, or my Discord. There's links in the description. And if you want to be caught up on all the news, I'll be happy to send you all of the sources and interviews and stuff that we have gathered, because there's a lot of them. Anyways, the synopsis for the game. Any world... No, Daniel, you take this one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
It's pretty cringy. Are you guys ready for the cringe?
Do a dramatic reading.
In a world now in ruin, only the power...
No, stop. More dramatic.
In a world now in ruins, only the power of the united Triforce can stop a millennial curse once confined with a dark power sealed by time and darkness, which has finally awakened.
Damn.
Dang. I'm just going to say that, first
Sean,
of all, I switched directions 3 times in there, but it was...
Sean and Patricia are going to be jealous.
Oh, dang. But also, this synopsis is not only a horrible run-on sentence, so it's grammatically pretty bad, but also, huh? It doesn't say, huh? It says, that gives 0 information. It's just a lot of words that mean nothing.
This is literally, you could use this for the first Breath of the Wild. In a world now in ruins, only the power of the united Triforce can stop a millennial curse once confined with the dark power sealed by time and darkness, which has finally awakened. That is literally Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
That is almost every Zelda game.
Now, I gotta add some details here, Jesse. This is a hot pile of garbage, this article. So, just putting that out there.
Damn.
But I went and took a look into the
shots
source
fired
of the
at...
Sorry, GeekTyrant.com.
No, who's Tommy Williams?
Tommy Williams. Sorry,
Tommy. Let's see
what
other...
you can only report so much on garbage and make it look any better than it is.
Let's see what other hot fire he's written.
I looked into the source of it, and the 4chan post is...
Kevin Hart
supposedly...
to star in comedic superhero film Nightwolf.
Weird. So the 4chan posts that they're pulling this information from is also a hot pile of garbage. So supposedly, sources close to the top of Nintendo talk about how the marketing strategy with the Switch brand and its expansion in the market has finally recently, and it goes on a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that really stands out to me is that they are the final name has not yet been completed. The code name for the Switch 2 is Switch 2. And Nintendo that's not how they do code names. They're not just Switch 2. Even the Wii U, which is a sequel to the Wii, they could have called that the Wii 2.
I think it was Project Cafe.
It was Project Cafe. They've always had working names. This SNES was Canoe for some reason. The Nintendo 64 was I can't remember exactly. It was Ultra 64 for the longest time publicly. It definitely had an internal development name that was different from that. The GameCube was Dolphin. The Wii was the Revolution. So they've always had...
Wii. I don't think the Wii was the... I could be wrong.
No, you're right.
Wii was Dolphin.
GameCube was definitely Dolphin.
Yeah, that's why...
But
Wii was going to be named the Revolution.
It was going to be named...
That's what they announced it as when they showed it off.
Right. Then they changed the name to the Wii.
So it
You're
had
right.
it
So
had a beta
different code name
Yeah,
that I can't remember off the top of my
I'll
head.
look it up.
But the point is that Nintendo, if they were making a Switch 2, internally, they would not call it Switch 2. They would come up with a clever
I wonder what the Virtual
name
Boy
for it. Like even the
codename
Switch, they
was.
had NX for the longest time, right? So, I don't know. It's just the whole thing is so far-fetched.
Okay, so here we go. Home consoles. The Famicom, which this is Japanese name, so that's the
That's the
I used to call it
NES.
the regular Nintendo.
Right.
Instead of the NES, I would call it the regular Nintendo and then the Super Nintendo. So it was is this right? Hold on.
I don't know. Holding on.
Yeah,
Moving on.
okay, so the Famicom was codenamed Home Video Computer Family Computer.
Jeez, I'm glad they shortened that.
The NES was Advanced Video System Prototype NES. The Super Famicom was SFX, which is what you said, right?
Well, I said, was it something like Canoe or something like that?
It says SFX Super Family Computer. The Super Nintendo is just the SNES here. I don't know. Maybe this is wrong, but it has the rest of them for sure. Nintendo 64, Project Reality was
Right.
the code name for it because that was the name of the chip that they used. If you go to YouTube and just type in Project Reality, you will see a graphic demonstration of like what the Nintendo 64 pushed to its maximum capabilities looks like. And that was like using the computer chip in a computer, not a Nintendo 64. And then it was going to be called the Ultra 64. The GameCube was going to be the Dolphin. For the Wii, it just has the Revolution, which is weird because I always thought that Revolution was just what they were going to call it, not the nickname. The Wii U was Project Cafe, and then the Wii U Project. The Nintendo Switch, does everybody remember its code name?
Next.
Yeah. Which I always thought was like Nintendo Cross, which kind of still makes sense.
It does.
Instead of NX, I looked at it as Nintendo Cross. Handheld.
Supposedly, at least I heard that the only person who knew what NX stood for was Iwata, and he took that secret to the grave. They were like, no, we don't know. It was Iwata's thing. No, we don't know what NX actually stood for. But it
Nice.
probably was Nintendo Cross. Like, that makes the most sense,
Yeah.
honestly.
So here for the Game Boy. This is handheld.
Right.
We're just doing this, guys. This is a topic and a topic.
We're just gonna do it.
Maybe I'll split this out to be its own
Topic
video.
except.
All right. So
Exception.
Game Boy, 1989. Jeez, I can't believe that. That was before I was born. Dot Matrix Game was its name. Dot Matrix Game. Virtual Boy. Virtual Utopia Experience VR 32. 32 because it was a 32-bit console. Like the Game Boy Advance was also 32-bit. The PlayStation was 32-bit. That doesn't mean they were all equal in power, though. Project Atlantis. Do you remember that?
No, what is that?
I think Project Atlantis was going to be like after the Game Boy Advance. They were going to have a new Game Boy console. But then,
Okay. But then the DS happened
they
instead.
they killed because they said the DS, like the Wii U, like the Switch, was just going to be a third platform. It wasn't going. The DS was not going to replace the Game Boy,
Supposedly.
despite it having a place for you to play Game Boy Advance games on it. But they had this Project Atlantis that was supposedly almost as powerful as like somewhere between a Super Nintendo and a Nintendo 64, which is what handheld games usually do. It's like it's always a half step between the last gen console and the new gen console. Like Game Boy Advance was already between Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. Project Atlantis was going to be just a little bit closer. It was going to be like a thick Game Boy,
That Game Boy is thick.
but it was just called Atlantis. Game Boy Pocket was going to be Mini Game Boy was the name. Game Boy Color, Color Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced, Advanced Game Boy. Some of these names they're not very good. Game Boy Advanced SP, Game Boy Special. I didn't know that. SP means special.
Yeah.
Do you knew that?
I did.
Okay, guess the Game Boy Micro. Do you remember that little tiny
Micro
thing?
Game Boy.
No. Oxygen.
Small.
Oxygen.
That's so weird.
Nintendo DS. Do you remember this one? This was a good one.
What, dual screen?
No.
I know the DS stands for dual screen, but
Iris
Okay, what?
Nitro DS.
whoa.
DS Lite.
Extreme.
DS Lite was Usagata, which means thin.
Wow.
Here's some
Good
good
one.
ones.
Good one, Nintendo.
Some good ones. Probably because Twilight Princess did so well. The Nintendo DSi, 2008. Codenamed
Mhm. Wolf.
Twilight.
Twilight. Oh, okay.
DSi XL, codename Ultra
Big
Twilight.
Oh, okay.
3DS. They named the emulator after it, similar to Dolphin.
Oh, Citra?
Yeah, Citra, you got it.
Ah.
3DS XL, the one that Aonuma promised would not released.
Big.
SPR.
SPO. It's so boring.
2DS FTR. New 3DS Control. KONTROLLE.
Oh, do we want to tell them that they made a typo?
New 3DS XL Project Infrared.
Interesting.
And then peripheral systems. Shouldn't the what was it? The Virtual Boy should be here. Peripheral.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Virtual Boy, would that be like
Rad.
Yeah,
That's
so
our code name. Rad.
just
It's-
Project Red?
so they have the SNES CD codenamed Super Disc PlayStation.
Yes.
Nintendo 64 DD, Nintendo Ultra Disc. They are missing two, I think. Yeah,
we got the Game Boy
they
Advance
are.
player.
They're no. They are missing the Famicom Disk System and the Super Famicom attachment. Like, I don't know if it was the disk system or the
That was the one. That was it. PlayStation one.
No. They were like the one for the Super Nintendo to plug in to play the BS Zelda games and everything.
Oh, the Satellaview.
Yeah,
you mean?
that wasn't in here.
Oh.
That was the only way that you could play a lot of really good Super Nintendo games. Like
Rest in
actual
peace.
remakes of, like, I think there was 2 different remakes of the original Zelda game and then one remake of A Link to the Past. Anyways, we're going to clip that out into its own thing, make a video out of it. But going back to this thing,
This hot pile of garbage article.
yeah, Luke, give us your thoughts
Yes.
About
Please.
about the article.
I don't even remember what we were talking about. Was it the laughable?
No, the laughable rumor.
Okay, with like Breath of Darkness or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, no, seriously though, what do you guys think it's going to be? If you guys could
Okay.
come up with the name right now, what would it be?
Okay, I would be Legend of Zelda: Talk to the Hand. No.
Tingle's
Okay.
Adventure.
Tingle's Adventure. Okay. No. I think that rumor does sound kind of dumb, but I do.
They
have to
described
say-
every Zelda game.
they really did. They really did.
Really good.
How and you did make a good point about how like every, especially since it's been like 3 years after Breath of the Wild came out, like they should probably release it next year. But I did remember that the last DLC pack came out a couple months before the 1 year anniversary, so they were still working on Breath of the Wild 1 even after release, and they weren't working on the sequel yet. So it's technically, I want to say, to me, it's technically 2 years. So 21 doesn't sound
Unless
too far fetched.
Split team. I think that's kind of what they did though, is that they split the team. and some of them stayed behind to work on patches and just the DLC projects, and then some of them started doing at least concepts for the next game.
That's
I
possible.
don't know.
Yeah.
That is
And
very possible.
They definitely could have. Yeah, and didn't they get the Xenoblade Chronicle team for the sequel?
Yeah. Well,
So-
I think some of them were already working on the.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The Xenoblade team, like a ton of them, were already working on Breath of the Wild. And then they hired a bunch of new people to officially work on a Zelda project. Like they came out, said they are working on a Zelda project. And then maybe a month ago, there was another article I seen saying that there were more. Oh, we got $2. Saying game over from Chris P. Thank you. Everybody say thank you.
Thank you, Chris P.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you, Chris.
I like that too.
P-
If
Krispy Kreme.
If you have a question, we will answer it. You don't have to donate again, obviously. But what I was saying is that. What was I saying?
You were talking about Breath of the Wild development with the Xenoblade
Yeah,
Chronicle.
so not long ago they
That
came out
one.
with an article saying that part of the Monolith Soft team was working
Yes.
on Breath of the Wild 2. Now, here's the thing. We don't know if two teams at Monolith Soft is working on Breath of the Zelda projects. Like they could have that one, like the team that they came out, hired, made a big deal about working on their own Zelda project. We don't know if that Zelda project is just helping out with Breath of the Wild 2 or if it's its own thing. And then a separate team is also helping out on Breath of the Wild. So they could be working on two separate things with Monolith Soft. Like they could have their own Zelda project and they could also be working on Breath of the Wild 2 with another team.
Right.
So like it wasn't very clear in the article if there were two teams or if it was just the Zelda project team. Instead of working on their own project, now they're working on Breath of the Wild 2, or the new team could be working on their own original Zelda project or a remake of some kind.
True.
And then a separate team is joining the Breath of the Wild 2 team, just as tons of 100 or however many 80 something, I don't know, people from Monolith Soft joined on Breath of the Wild, which is why we ended up with Breath of the Wild DLC for free in Breath of the Wild. There was the whole quest with the outfit and everything.
But it was really just more clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I can see that, yeah, because that would actually kind of make sense because they could have had the main Zelda team working on all the DLC for Breath of the Wild 1. Meanwhile, Monolith Soft, who's done a ton of Xenoblade Chronicle, open world games, so they have a lot of experience with that stuff. Nintendo could have totally hired them to start working on all these other ideas that Aonuma and the team had for the sequel while they did all the DLC. And then since they finished the DLC, then they rejoined with those teams and started working on the sequel.
Okay.
Plus spin-off stuff.
So you are right, because I think there was an interview where they mentioned that because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has such a huge overworld that a lot of them did work on shrines and stuff or whatever, and they were spread out helping basically everywhere, but a huge portion of them, because they were used to building such a huge world in Xenoblade, like all of the Xenoblade games, even for the Wii, they ended up working on detailing the overworld itself because it is so huge. They needed all the extra people to go through and make sure that it wasn't empty. No matter where you went, you would find a turned over statue or something destroyed, but there's still a lot of, even though it's destroyed, you can still see a lot of detail and stuff in it, and you can kind of build a story around what happened. So they did a really good job in that. So Luke, you were right in that.
Thanks.
Daniel,
Jesse.
what are your final thoughts?
Jesse.
James.
James.
That. Oh no, I've driven him away again. No.
Get up,
Come
get up, get up, and be a player. Get up, get up, get up. Okay. He's out.
He's out.
He left.
He's gone. He's gone out the door.
He's out the door.
Dear.
Should we wait for him or just?
I've got no further thoughts on this. I think I'm ready to move to the next topic.
I kind of want to just talk about the SNES controller, maybe the Nintendo Music thing, and then kind of move on. Go to the Zelda mailbag.
Yeah. Well, the controller thing that's in the docket here. Jesse had possibly discussed game theory nonsense. Here's what's to discuss. They stole my video. No, they. But no one's bitter.
Oh jeez.
They stole it. but then they kind of stole it, but then watered it down and then made it make less sense somehow.
Jesse left his screen. He's gonna appear on mine, according to Gustavo. He just
like
kind
the garage door just opens and
Jesse just walks in and he just picks me up and he takes me to his camera and he comes back to mine, sits down. Now where were we?
Oh, I love that. The garage door opens. Jesse drives in. Opens the door. Get in.
He just drives.
There's no time.
He just hits my set, and I'm like, what the? Even better, he just opens up the back door.
He just climbs up the back. He climbs up the trunk.
He doesn't even open a door. He just randomly appears in the back of the car and just comes out. That'd be even better.
Oh my god, that would be the best.
I would actually cry. That'd be so funny.
I would call this podcast cursed and just end it right there.
Cursed.
Podcast is cursed.
Just gone wrong. Just block it with your hand. Gone wrong. It'd be like that.
Oh no, Jesse.
Does he have a stack of cheese? What is that?
Did he? I thought it was
guys
socks.
miss me?
Yeah.
Jesse.
Is that cheese? Did you bring cheese?
Did you bring a stack of cheese? What is that?
No, it's a rag.
Is it not socks?
No, I had to
socks or cheese.
I had to check on my grandmother, and when I was out, I blew my nose, so that's the rag.
Okay.
In case I have to blow my nose again.
I thought you left and you just had a big thing of just American cheese slices in your hand.
I mean,
and you brought them in so you could snack on them while we talk.
No. I did that with bananas once.
Jesse, you missed it though. We were saying how it would be funny. You walk out the door, you appear behind Luke, and just
like you
climbing out his car.
Because Gustavo said it would have been weird if you, like, when you left the door, you just came into my camera somehow, and we just
because it's reversed, like it's there, but yeah, that's cool. Banana, yes. Oh, so we're all in agreement, right?
Yes.
So just
Cheese.
as Daniel's, don't you have a series debunking stuff like this, Daniel?
It's called cheese.
It was called cheese. No, wait. It's called.
Wait, is that the same?
Myths.
Is that the same?
Conceptions.
Is that the same Jorge that made this shirt? Are you that same Jorge?
I think it is.
With my daughter and I.
It
I bought her shirt like it, and she loves it. She cannot believe that she is a cartoon.
That's amazing.
It's great, yeah.
But yes, there is a series on Jesse's channel, which has a name that I amusingly can't pronounce properly. It's gaming myths and misconceptions, or as I keep saying, myths and myth conceptions. Myths and myth conceptions.
The other name for it is just cheese.
Cheese. That's the other name. That's the subtitle.
Jesse's series is just called Cheese, American and blue.
episode
but
2.
not Gouda.
So it was supposed to be a top 10, but we had to split it into 2 top 5s because the script. I go into a lot of detail and add in like the actual proof and stuff, like the interviews and everything on my scripts. That way someone can't be like,
Proof.
oh, that's not true because blah,
Or
blah,
as
blah.
we call the proof, chatter.
Yeah. So the part 2 of the top 10 is sitting at 234 likes, 13 dislikes, 80 comments, and about 6,000 views.
13 people don't want to be enlightened.
Part 1, if I can find it. Is sitting at about 25,000 views, 160 comments, 819 likes, 47 dislikes. So if you want to go and find some real Zelda facts and like a video series that cuts out all of the
True facts.
yeah, like there's a lot of rumors, straight up lies, misconceptions that are spread about the Zelda series. So just like this rumor, someone could read this rumor, believe it to be true, and then go out and tell everyone, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of people believing this, and if a bunch of people
They're gonna be
believe
like,
it,
oh my gosh, Breath of Darkness is
Yeah.
coming out.
yeah, like they're going to be arguing with people being like, no, you're stupid, it's not going to be Breath of the Wild 2 because it's confirmed it's going to be called Breath of Darkness. Like there's actual people that's going to be doing that.
Oh my gosh. Adult Link in Ocarina of Time is the dad of Young Link from Ocarina of Time.
That's almost as stupid as the BuzzFeed video. Where they said every Link is the son or the descendant of the previous Link.
Yeah.
And
That statement hurt me.
And I'm like, the
emotionally.
entire point of Wind Waker, sir, is that there.
Then how do you explain the part where he died? he was not making any babies
Yeah,
after, being killed. It
Yeah.
just doesn't, no sense was made that day.
yeah. Anyways, can we move on to the next?
Wait.
Speaking
Wait,
of,
what?
we're moving
Wait,
on
what?
to the next thing.
He wasn't killed in Wind Waker?
No, Ocarina was killed. Link
No,
was
then
killed, and
Downfall
then
Timeline. Link was killed in the Downfall timeline.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm
in-
talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Wind
Yeah.
Waker.
'cause I was gonna-
He was
One-
sent back in time, so he doesn't
Daniel,
exist.
117.
What?
Just write down 117.
Okay.
I was gonna say, in Wind Waker, he's just a hero that randomly left and never came back.
Just
He didn't like.
All right.
boy
Guys.
from
Pull up the gamer
the-
thing. Here's what we're gonna do. It says 10 plot holes, but we're just gonna talk about one each, since we're
Ew.
kind of running long. So we're if you go down to topic of discussion, it says 10 plot holes and mysteries in Zelda.
Okay.
Click on it, and then
Oh, not the controller thing.
no, we're gonna do
Are
the
we
controller
skipping
thing after this.
After this break, after this message from our sponsors. Hi there. Are you tired of people spreading misinformation about the Legend of Zelda series? Okay, that's my commercial for you.
Then do I have a solution for you? It's called Zeldapedia.
Touche. So, should we introduce this article from...
Yeah,
The gamer.
do you want to do it? Since I did
Sure.
the last one.
Okay. Okay, guys.
Be-
Everybody
be
loves torturing us.
Not as energetic as the last time when you did it, but we still want you energetic, Daniel, as your director, technically as your boss, even though I always call you the boss.
You need to increase your power level, okay? You need to just sit there and just scream. Yeah, basically like that, yeah.
Whoa. He
Yeah,
got more
right.
handsome.
So,
I thought you were muted for a second. I was like, is he screaming?
I was screaming so loud that the mic
All right, I
couldn't
picked
pick it
number
up.
10. So
Oh, great. All right. Well, here's what I'm just gonna introduce everybody. Hey guys, welcome to the Hylian Gamescast. I'm Daniel. There's Luke. That's Jesse. Anyway, so you guys know you you all love it when we go through these articles because they're bad. So we pulled up an article from The Gamer. They're called The Gamer, so you know they're legit. That's how you know. 20 unresolved mysteries and plot holes. The Legend of Zelda left hanging. You guys ready to cringe? We're gonna just pick out a handful of things to examine here. We're gonna determine, is this article, is it good? Is it bad? Should you click on it? No, you probably shouldn't. So
we
So
did the
Jesse,
clicking, so you don't have to.
yes, well, I spare you from the fate of reading these because half the time people will be like, guys, I've got this is an article with cool Zelda theories. The Rito are evolved from the Zoras, and we're like, that's not a theory. That's just a thing that happened.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So we like to just spare you guys the pain. We'll take the pain for you. Sorry, Luke, you've just been volunteered to do this without actually giving your consent. You must suffer with us.
So
Okay.
we also have a series called Myths and Misconceptions where we do something similar to this, where we go through 10 different things from each game series, like popular theories that people believe are true that have been debunked, or facts about games that just aren't true at all. Like, do we have an example? Like BuzzFeed saying that every Link is the descendant of a previous Link, when almost none of them are. Like, one definitely is, but it's not like their son, as BuzzFeed says. It's like a descendant, like great 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 grandson or something like that, after hundreds of years. And then there may be one other example, like maybe Phantom Hourglass to Spirit Tracks, maybe, I don't know, but definitely not Wind Waker, definitely not Ocarina of Time. Like, there's just nothing to back up any of that. It's just like the one Link.
Especially in Wind Waker, when the King of Red Lions is talking to Jabun, and Jabun asks if the Wind Waker Link is the hero of time, and King of Red Lions says that this boy has no connection to the hero of time.
Yeah. Because the hero of time vanished in that timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's others on there that you can go watch. But you can comment below, let us know what other series that you want us to cover, and get all of the fake rumors and facts and stuff, and give you real news about it and real facts about it, and clear out all of these myths and misconceptions about the game, which is where the channel or the series name comes from. And what we're doing now is kind of something similar. We're just going down a list that, instead of what we made, we're going down other people's list, because these lists are where these myths and misconceptions come from. And you guys always send us these lists to look at, and it just makes us cringe. So, starting out with number 10, while Daniel and Luke find theirs on here, we're each just going to do one from the list because we don't want to go on too long. It says, Lost in Time. Since Hyrule Historia came out, it's been revealed where all the games fit in the Zelda timeline. The timeline alone is pretty complicated, even though it's not, and it splits into 3 branches at one point, thanks to Ocarina of Time. But there's one game that doesn't fit in the timeline yet. Since Breath of the Wild came after Hyrule Historia released, it makes sense that it's not on the timeline. But where exactly does the game fit? Nintendo hasn't released any official information on it, and the information in the game doesn't really give us a good idea when this game takes place. That and everything there was a complete lie. So, before Breath of the Wild, there was also another game that released called Triforce Heroes. That at first, it did have a confusing launch. They said Triforce Heroes takes place off the timeline. It's just its own thing existing on its own. Sort of like the Tingle games. And then they were like, oh, well, if it doesn't connect to the timeline, maybe some Zelda fans may not be interested, since it's not your typical Save the Princess Zelda game. So, at the last minute, they were like, no, it is in the timeline. It's a direct sequel to A Link Between Worlds. And in fact, you play as the exact same Link days after the ending of A Link Between Worlds.
He just looks completely different for some reason.
Yeah. So those were official statements, like literally official statements from Nintendo saying it's its own thing, like the Tingle games. And then like a few days later being like, no, it does belong in the timeline. In fact, it's a sequel to the last game on the 3DS. But anyways, with Breath of the Wild, here it says Nintendo hasn't released any official information on it, and the information in the game doesn't really give a good idea. Okay, so in the game, there's tons of information to tell you where it takes place. It gives hints to a bunch of previous games. Nintendo has officially came out and said that it takes place long after all the other games. So right there, they give you information on it. Aonuma, in an interview, was asked, because this game has Koroks and the Great Deku Tree, and they worked on Wind Waker HD before they worked on Breath of the Wild, or while they were working on the pre-production of Breath of the Wild. So, is it connected to Wind Waker? Aonuma, the guy who created the game, straight up says the story of Breath of the Wild has no connection to Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
They just thought it was easier to literally copy and paste the models of all the Koroks into the game instead of presumably creating, because at first they had the Kokiri. So instead of designing like hundreds of Kokiri children, maybe, I don't know how many there would have been, they just copied and pasted all the Korok models. Because at first they were going to have Master Sword pedestals everywhere instead of Koroks. Koroks was a way better idea. I don't know why they wanted to do the Master Sword pedestal, like it was in A Link to the Past where they had the fake pedestals. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just weird stuff. And then he also said that it takes place, like he did confirm it did take place long after A Link to the Past, in a time where Hyrule and Ganon have gone to war over and over and over again. And he said that...
Said Ocarina of Time, not A Link to the Past.
Did I say A Link to the Past?
You did.
Oh, well, I meant Ocarina of Time. It takes place like long after Ocarina of Time, where Hyrule and Ganon have gone into war over and over and over again. And then the last thing that I think he said was, if you play through Twilight Princess HD, then a lot of things will be very familiar in Breath of the Wild, or playing Breath of the Wild will make you think of Twilight Princess HD, which it does because it has the thing in it that looks like the Twilight Mirror. Of course, you can summon Wolf Link everywhere. So he gives hints at where it is. And then they came out with their own updated timeline on their official website. Daniel, what did that do?
Gave us nothing really. I mean, well, it put it at the end of all three timelines.
Yeah. Instead of being at the end of one timeline, it's at the end of all three. For you, like, you can either pick which timeline you want it to be in, or you can look at it as it's literally in all three timelines. Like, it's up to you to decide, basically. But saying that there's no information that they've given us and stuff, or saying like the timeline's complicated, like, no, if you know the story of the games, like, the
Jesse,
timeline actually does make sense.
When to get all that, they would have had to have done research or paid attention.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they just want the click.
Kind of like Matt Pat.
They just need the click.
They just want the click.
No,
That's
you.
all they want.
So we have
They don't want to do research.
This is another thing connecting to this. This is why I wanted to talk about it.
Click.
So
Click.
Daniel came
Click.
up. Miss Click is awesome. Daniel came up. Wait, is she in the chat? Hi, Miss Click.
No.
She'll watch the video later.
Okay.
She watches the podcast. So there's so Daniel was the very first person in the entire world, like literally the first person in the world, to post a video about the Dragon Break in Breath of the Wild, which is where multiple timelines
before the game came out.
yeah, multiple timelines come together, which is something coming from Elder Scrolls, and it's something that Aonuma has mentioned that it has happened in the past with Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask ends with a dragon break. Every time you go back in time in Majora's Mask, you're essentially creating a new timeline. One where you rescue the bomb lady, one where the thief steals the stuff from the bomb lady, one where the bombs explode and he dies.
One where you do one dungeon and not the other three, and
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, if you did everything right, at the end of the game, you'll see everyone is happy.
Yeah, like all of the endings happen. And that's even, I go into pretty good detail in my video, but there's even, like not only in Majora's Mask, where that for sure
was funny.
happens, but Skyward Sword also has a dragon break, because you go kill 𝐷𝐻𝐼, and then you go back in time and kill 𝐷𝐻𝐼 again, and somehow both of those still happen
Yeah.
without a timeline split.
And so with
And, mhm.
but with
Yeah.
Aonuma confirming that games in the past have had timeline splits, or whatever, not timeline splits, but dragon break, which is the opposite of a split. It's where the timelines come back together. Like, he's confirmed that's happened in past games before.
Mhm.
So-
Even Ocarina of Time, every time you go in the future and there's no bean planted, and then you go back in time and you plant the bean there, and you go back to the future and now there's a plant, that's a dragon break technically.
Yeah.
Like,
So, but that's just like an instant dragon break.
just, yeah, but it's like a mini tiny one, but still.
Yeah, because
Even
everything that you did before you went back in time still happens in the future.
Yeah.
Like if you stop 𝐓𝐷𝐼𝐢𝐭𝐞𝐫 and you go back in time and do something else and then come back, like the volcano is still calm. Like it doesn't reset it or whatever. So yeah, those are dragon breaks as well. Anyways, the point is
well, wait. How's that a dragon break?
because
like, if you go, because like it's when he travels through time, it's exactly 7 years. So
Yes.
young Link, he's like doing his thing. It's like time is going by. You pull out the sword. You're in the future, but time is still going. So
Yes.
when you go
But
back in time, you go back in time by exactly 7 years. So there's technically
Think-
still been time going by.
think about
Yes. But think about this. If it wasn't a dragon break, when you go into the future the first time, all those beans should already be planted. Every bean sprout should already be planted and already have plants. But it's not until you go back in time and plant the bean and then go back to the future, wink wink, that suddenly there's bean plants there.
yeah.
So
Any-
if there was no dragon break, the first time you go to the future, all the bean plants would already be
Yeah,
planted.
it's the paradox. Like think of it as like the Song of Storms paradox.
Well, that's
like-
not a dragon break. That's just a mess.
No, but it technically like
that's a
you can
regular
you
old
you can
paradox.
explain it as like it's the same thing with the beans though. It's like the bean isn't there in the future. The guy doesn't like the guy knows the song in the future. You go back in time, you teach him the song, and then like it's the same kind of concept with the beans. Because like in one he knows it and then he doesn't, and then in the past it's there but it's
But-
not there.
The difference between the Song of Storms paradox and the my bean example is that with the Song of Storms
The
paradox,
bee.
there's no origin to the song. It's
Right.
loops. It has a looping origin. At least with the beanstalks, there's still a set origin.
And for the people
beans
typing in
happen.
the comments about Link learning it from sharp and flat and Termina, that's a
That's-
completely different timeline than the adult timeline where Link learns the song.
That's true. I mean, that offers an origin for it in Termina, but Link didn't learn that until, from his perspective, later, right?
Yeah, and it's
His
a completely
future.
different timeline.
His future as a child, as opposed to his other future
Yeah.
as an adult. It's so weird.
So anyways, what we're trying to say is Aonuma has confirmed that dragon breaks have happened in the past. The only difference is this would be a dragon break where not just all of the different timeline events in the game comes together, but all of the timelines from all the games come together. Which is what happens in Elder Scrolls and a bunch of other games like Final Fantasy 13-2 does it. And it's actually really common
And-
in video games where timelines come together.
Yes.
So-
but yeah,
Uh,
my video was the original.
yeah.
I'm hanging on to that's my stake to fame.
Yeah, Daniel had again the very, very, very first video of it, and then I was of the belief that it was in the child timeline, like long after
That's why I
Twilight
thought
Princess.
Nintendo would pin it though, because
Yeah.
I was like, that's my theory, sure, but I always figure like just because it's my theory doesn't mean that's what Nintendo's gonna come out and say as fact. Like,
Yeah.
it's just my theory. And I always figured Nintendo will probably come out and say it's in the child timeline, but then they didn't. So it's hard to pin down what Nintendo will do
Yeah,
and what Nintendo don't.
yeah.
I always just kind of assume they put it in all 3 timelines because they really don't care.
That's there's that. Just like, yeah, it's wherever you want, kid. Here's your timeline.
So, yeah, going back to what I was saying is like Daniel came up with the original video. I thought that I strongly believed that it took place in the child timeline to where like I would even debate with people like no, that because this and this, and then I was going to do like I was talking to Daniel about getting his video that he had posted on the Zelda Informer YouTube channel and having it posted on my channel, but then whenever I started doing the actual research for it, like me doing research, like actual research, reading almost every single interview I could.
But Jesse, what research? I thought you. What about the?
No,
the clicks.
no, I
about the
just
clicks?
didn't. I just didn't post.
Misclick? What? Misclick? What?
I just didn't post nonsense to get clicks. I actually did tons of research,
I don't get it.
and I came up and like I convinced myself that Daniel's video was correct, and even came up with more facts to prove it. And the way I did it was who in the world of Zelda, like we know like Zelda caused the break in the first place, right? Sending
By
Link
sending
back in time.
Link back in time. Yeah.
Zelda is the reincarnation of who?
Miyamoto.
Hylia.
The Hylia.
Zelda is the reincarnation of Hylia, and that caused the 3 splits. So who would be able to have enough power over time to make all 3 of the timelines come back together? And it would be there is a character in the
Miyamoto.
game, Miyamoto, yes, but there's a character
He has the
in the
power to
game
do that.
who is literally called the Goddess of Time. And in Skyward Sword, we are first told about the Goddess of Time when in Majora's Mask, after the split happens, Zelda's talking to Link saying that she and he, whatever, will pray to the Goddess of Time to help him on his journey. And then in Skyward Sword, we get a bunch of evidence suggesting that Hylia is the Goddess of Time because her temple, the Temple of Time, where there is the pedestal of time, the gate of time, that lets you travel through time in her temple, used to be called the Temple of Hylia. And then
Yes.
after she went to like reincarnated as Zelda, they started calling it the Temple of Time. So her temple is literally the Temple of Time. So she would definitely be the Goddess of Time. And even though she is reincarnated as Zelda, Fi or Fi, whoever, tells you in the game like that Hylia is sending you messages from the edge of time. So even though she gave up her physical form, whatever, to reincarnate as Zelda, she still exists as a goddess in like another world because she is sending messages, as Fi says, from the edge of time. So a goddess living at the edge of time, who again is the god of time, would surely have the power to bring all the timelines back together, since her reincarnated self somehow had the power to split the timeline. But then the downfall timeline's just a mess, like a big what if.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Luke, our special guest. So we explained where it is, gave some proof, gave some actual facts, something that,
Some facts and theories.
Hyrule.
Fun.
Yeah, and then who was it? MatPat completely ripped off Daniel's video with absolutely no
Except he
credit.
watered it down with Hyrule Warriors and
Yeah.
then made less sense.
Yeah, he took a non-canon game to try to explain a canon timeline. Like, it's so cringy. Like, when I first seen it,
In the realm of theories, I don't think like doing just that is the worst idea, but the problem is even if it was canon, his explanation doesn't really work.
yeah. Because even in Hyrule Warriors, like, the timelines don't come together at all. And then at the end of Hyrule Warriors, the entire point of the game is to, like, keep all the
Everything
portals
goes-
closed, keep it separated.
Everyone goes back home after that. You know,
Yeah.
they don't stay merged.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Luke, do you got yours? Or
Yeah.
do you have
I do.
something to say?
Yeah.
Choose.
I thought that theory was actually pretty good until
All right, kick him out.
No. Until I realized how bad the theory was, because I forgot that like the portals closed and there was a ton of like stuff that I didn't.
Oh yeah.
There was a ton
Even
of
like
stuff
the
I
map
didn't know.
comparison he pulls up, he's like, these maps are identical. Look at these 3 landmarks are in the same place, and he just ignores that the rest of the map is different. he just zooms in on the part that is the same.
Yeah.
Like Death Mountain's still in the top right, and Hyrule Castle's still in the middle.
See,
Guys.
Jorge says, "Game over, Jesse. MatPat wants to know your location." The thing is, I've actually talked to people who used to write for MatPat, and they talked all the time about how, like, they left because they felt they didn't get paid enough. That, like, he would say, what was it they would say? You can use this as, like, a boost to get to the job that you want. So like, if you say, I wrote for Game Theory or I wrote for MatPat, then you would easily be able to get a job somewhere like IGN or whatever that actually pays you well. Like, that's what they said, is that basically the fact that they are writing for MatPat should be enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's a pretty like full of yourself thing to.
yeah. But again, that's like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that that's what I was told. So.
But Luke.
But I was also
Go
told
on.
Daniel's moving, so I don't know if that's true either.
I mean, there's evidence on screen, Jesse.
Moving to a new house. He's
That's just your
upgrading.
box collection.
Daniel started his YouTube channel, all that Patreon money's coming in, and he bought a new house.
Not even the $13 in Patreon money.
I can finally buy that amiibo I wanted.
Oh, hey, you got a good point there.
Yeah, even Zelda Informer. The guy that used to, we're not going to name him, but the person who used to run Zelda Informer even came to us and said that some of his stuff was like copied, stolen, whatever, by MatPat. Like the Link is Dead theory originally came from Zelda Informer, and Zelda
Yes.
Informer is not mentioned at all in that video. Which, honestly, if I worked for YouTube, I would just, like, delete the video. Like, I would turn it, like, if someone clicked on it, I would turn it into, like, a Rickroll or
Oh
something.
my gosh.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
But moving on,
Redirect.
Luke.
Luke, please.
All right.
Luke,
So
Luke,
I-
Luke, Luke, Luke,
Yeah.
Luke,
Okay.
Luke, Luke.
Glue. All right. So I picked number 2. He's a big guy. So it says in Ocarina of Time, you can go on a rather long side quest in order to get a huge sword called the Bigoron Sword, made by this incredibly large Goron called, well, Bigoron. This sword packs quite the punch, and it's a pretty cool reward for such a long side quest. But I have some questions about Bigoron. Mainly, why is there a giant Goron? And I mean giant. This guy is huge, even for a Goron, just chilling on Death Mountain, and no one addresses it. It's obviously not
That's
normal
where he
for Gorons
lives.
to get that big, so why don't any of the other Gorons bring it up? Was Bigoron just born that way, or did something happen? We never
He
get any
just
kind of
grew.
answer.
He just had a big growth spurt.
He
It's
ate.
just where he lives. They're like, why does he live there at his home?
Dang it.
There were
Dang
other
it.
big Gorons too. Like
Give
there was
me the rock sirloin.
no that quest starts with you literally going to another large Goron to get the giant's knife.
You don't need the giant's knife to do that quest.
No.
If
Yeah,
you don't
you don't
want
need
to.
it.
You can
What?
skip that. But there,
Yeah,
What?
it's an alternate
he
item.
is there though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My-
like you can get the giant's knife, but you can skip that.
My whole life is a lie.
The Bigoron Sword side quest starts with the Kuko lady in Kakariko Village, where you get the pocket.
Yeah,
egg.
you get Kojiro.
Yeah, and then that.
No, you get the pocket cuckoo, and
Yeah,
then
the pocket egg turns into a chicken. You wake up Talon, and then you trade the chicken for Kojiro. Go to the Lost Woods. You trade it for the chainsaw,
the handsaw.
the
Which you
handsaw.
then trade for the broken Bigoron sword.
No.
handle.
Actually, no. You trade it for the mushroom. You take it to the potion area for the
Right.
medicine. Then you do the chainsaw. Then it goes to Gerudo Valley. You trade it for the broken Bigoron, the broken giant's knife.
Wait, what about the eye drops?
The eye drops come in later. After you take the broken giant's knife over to Death Mountain, and then you trade
Right.
that
He's like,
or the prescription note. Yeah, and he's like,
yeah, he's giant.
Yeah. He wakes up and he's just, oh my arm. Oh. Okay, yeah.
Well, it's because he stood up, a volcano erupted, and his face was right there.
I do know that too.
Hot
My-
ash lava.
I got volcanic acid in my eyes. I feel like, oh, yeah, I do that too. But no, yeah. So then after the freaking prescription note, you take that to King Zora, and then you get the frog, and then you take that to the scientist in the laboratory. Then you get the eye drops, and then you trade it in for the claim check,
Claim check, yes.
and then the Bigoron sword. I'm so glad that I have that memorized. Okay.
Yeah, that is some good knowledge.
So here's the
Proud of
real,
you.
like, the real thing that's like unexplained.
The eye
Why?
drops are
No.
loud.
Why?
That's-
Why doesn't? Why doesn't Link?
It's true, they are.
Why doesn't Big Goron? No. Listen. Why doesn't Big Goron just reach inside the volcano and like pull out 𝐓𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷, who would be the size of his finger, and just squish him?
He was having a big Goron nap. He didn't know what was going on.
Oh, okay, thanks.
He was napping for like a year.
He ate a lot of rock sirloin.
Or like when he seen Ganondorf walking up Death Mountain to resurrect this thing, he could have just like flicked him, like.
That guy's got the Triforce of power. I bet if he tried to flick Ganondorf could just be like, catch his finger.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how big
that's
his
right.
finger would be. It's
He
just
could
like,
just-
no.
Absorb the energy and just right back at.
Or maybe Ganondorf, while he was sleeping, sprinkled volcanic ash in Big Goron's eyes to stop him from interfering.
And that's why he needed eye drops.
That's why he needed
Ganondorf was just like, he just sprinkled chili powder in his eyes while he's sleeping, and that's why he needs eye drops.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there you go. No, but I think the question was asking, like, why is this Goron so big compared to the other Gorons? Because like all the other ones are like, the size of Link, height-wise, and then this one is almost the size of the mountain.
Okay,
So,
so here it is. This is the real explanation. The Gorons get bigger, like just as any animal or whatever does. Like if they eat more, then they get
So
bigger.
He ate
He lives at the top of the volcano
Goron?
where all of those rocks are like shooting up and falling. So he's able to like get the rocks as they're like
you
fresh.
throw popcorn and you're like,
Yeah.
like,
So he's there to
so he-
constantly eat all of that.
Just, hey, fetch.
just
No, so
the other Goron's like, God, they're big.
does that
boulders.
not work though?
Yeah.
Does that not work?
Sure.
It's that-
It's just one of
I
those things. Like,
I got nothing, so that works. Okay.
Yeah,
it's just
and-
one
and
of those
even-
things. It's like weird Zelda stuff. There's like a clown that has a cannon. There's a flying chicken game, and there's like
No,
like
so
giant
an-
Goron, and there's fish people. Like, it's
another
just a
thing,
Zelda.
another thing in Breath of the Wild, the king of the Zoras is giant as well. They
That's
didn't
true.
mention that in this. Like sometimes there's just giant people.
He's very swole. He works out a lot.
Well, I don't know. He looks a little. It looks like he used to work out a lot.
Just
And now he's got the dad bod.
He just works the shoulders.
Lyrian Woods, Lyrian Woods. I hope I pronounced that right. Says, "I bet Big Goron has epic turds."
I bet.
That's what's falling on Link when
Big
he's running
Goron.
up Death Mountain.
Yeah. So.
Oh
it's
no,
just
that's
one of
a
those
horrifying.
things.
So,
image to
Daniel, do you
think
want to go to
about.
yours?
Yeah. So
God.
I mean, skipping over all the like, why is Link down in this list? Here's the one that's number 16 on the list. These guys are all one person, huh? So it reads, Ganondorf is the main villain in most of the Zelda games.
What
but
number is
his-
this?
Number 16.
16.
But his very nature can be a bit confusing, especially when he also goes by Ganon. According to Nintendo, Ganon and Ganondorf are both the same person, but that
No.
doesn't make sense. The fact that Ganondorf can take the form of a human and a monstrous beast makes his nature a little confusing. Is he a man? Is he a beast? Is he the evil entity that takes the form of a man, or is he a man that got corrupted by power? And just what are his origins? While there are a few things that hint at his nature, we still don't know a ton about this guy. Gee, I wish there was an entire game dedicated to his origin story and how he became Ganon. If only there was a game released 20 years ago that covered that very topic. Yep.
Say,
Right.
Daniel, did this game involve traveling through time?
You know, it sure did. It sure did.
Daniel, was there a game released within the past, 7, 8 years that also went on to explain the origins of Ganon?
Well, wouldn't you know it? It sure happened.
So let's see here. Ganondorf, from what the games tell us, just these two games, Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword. Ganondorf was just a normal king of the Gerudo. Yeah, he had some good ideas, but he went about it in the wrong way, is the way that it went.
Murdering way.
Yeah, but he was
Yes.
he was kind of pushed into it, not just by his evil parent, guardians, whatever, Twinrova, whatever they are to Ganondorf.
Surrogate mothers.
Yeah.
Double
So
mom.
not only was he pushed to the dark side by the dark side, not only was he
Dark side.
not only did he become Darth Ganondorf, thanks to his surrogate
Darth.
mother's Twinrova, who kept pushing him to the dark side, but he was also, over time, slowly corrupted, from what we learned in Skyward Sword, by Demis's hatred for the gods and the goddesses and all of the Hylian people. And it's that corruption that turns him into Ganon. Ganon is the evil darkness and everything from Demise physically manifesting, whereas Ganondorf is just the person who is corrupted by the evil. And then there is a completely different Ganondorf in the
Four Swords Adventure.
Four Swords. Or is it a different Ganon, not Ganondorf?
Both.
Yeah, it's both.
It's both.
And then
That
I think
Ganondorf is the Ganon in that same game, but
Yeah.
they are separate. They are the one instance of it being a separate Ganon / Ganondorf.
it was a new king named Ganondorf.
Hmm.
Um,
So the Ganondorf timeline, he is a guy, a normal dude with a backstory in Ocarina of Time. In the adult timeline, he gets sealed away, breaks out, and is the same man in Wind Waker,
yeah.
and then he dies. In the child timeline, he is sentenced to be executed, becomes Dark Beast Ganon at the end of Twilight Princess. He becomes Ganon at the end of Ocarina of Time as well. Like he literally, there's no like, oh, I don't get it. Is he the same thing? Like he literally, you see him transform into Ganon. Like it's there's no like lack of information on this subject. It's something you just witness happen, and then in the Downfall timeline, he just stays as Ganon.
Yeah.
Just loses his
Yeah.
human entirely, but it's just.
And it's
There is
pretty
no gaps of information.
yeah, that's pretty cool that there's like only one other. I mean, I would like to see more instances where it's a separate Ganondorf, but like it's cool that these are all the same because it's all the different timelines and stuff. But it does still work that this is a different Ganondorf, but it's still Ganondorf because of Demise's curse, where he cursed the blood of the hero and reincarnation. So Ganondorf is a part of that reincarnation because he has the part of that hero curse.
Yeah.
Unless I'm thinking of it wrong.
No, you're. The thing is, the curse from Demise is spirit of the hero, the blood of the goddess, and an incarnation of Demise's hatred, which is implied to be Ganondorf. But technically, could really apply to any Zelda villain. It could be Malladus, it could be Bellum or Vadi.
Yeah.
As long as there is hatred in the world,
Yuga,
then
it is transformed into Ganon as well.
Not quite.
No.
So Yuga
Summons Ganon.
releases the seal on Ganon from A Link to the Past, brings him up, and then merges with him.
Could that be more proof that Lorule is partially the Dark World because Ganon was sealed inside of it?
But he brings him up while in Hyrule.
Does he?
Yeah.
I could have sworn
it's
they
in Hyrule Castle.
I could have sworn that after you fight Yuga, you go through the wall crack and you go into Lorule, and that's where he does the seal break. And you're in Lorule.
Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought it was immediately after that you go.
I swear it was in Lorule Castle. I might be wrong about that.
Because I thought it was in Hyrule Castle, and immediately after that happened, that you go to Lorule Castle through the crack in the wall. But no, you might be right, actually.
Because I could have sworn
I think the final boss fight is in Lorule Castle.
Yeah, it is. So like I could have sworn like the seal breaks,
You might be
and
right.
then after like Ganon is freed, and then Yuga merges with Ganon, and they become like that superior being.
But
then Link gets sent away or whatever. Yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean Lorule is the Dark World, because if Ganon was sealed, he wouldn't be in Hyrule or Lorule. He would have been sealed somewhere else. So in theory, it could still be possible that Yuga could like have the ability to revive him and bring him out of that seal in either place. If Ganondorf was sealed in a third location, in maybe the actual Sacred Realm.
Yeah.
So
he probably wasn't sealed in Lorule. I think he was just doing a spell with all the sages.
Yeah, I think that's
probably what he's doing.
He probably I think because he retreated there to get away from, and then do the spell there. So
that makes sense.
Yes, good theory. Not theory. Again, not a theory. It's not a theory.
It's
just
not a
thing
game
that
theory.
happened.
It's just something that happened. It's not a game theory. Pat, don't copyright this.
Do not. Anyways, I chose that one. It was the one that made me cringe the most.
All these pictures make me cringe.
The pictures also the stolen fan art in this article is pretty bad, but also the just the fact that they're like, it doesn't make any sense, and we don't know, like we still don't know a ton about this guy, and it's like, if anything, we know more about him than Link and Zelda, because Link and Zelda, it's like you play as that character in one game and that's it. But Ganondorf and Ganon exist through so many of these different games. We see him more. And unlike Link, we actually get like dialogue from him. So, that's it's just not correct.
All right.
I'm
sorry.
Can I
Luke.
read something real quick? Yeah.
$2 you can read.
Dang.
No, you've super chatted us before and stuff. You can go ahead.
All right. Cool. Thanks. So, I think your name. I don't know how to say that. Is that Javier?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, didn't Lorule get created because the Link from A Link to the Past touched the Triforce and his balanced heart turned the Sacred Realm into a paradise, like Zelda said in Ocarina of Time? I don't know how to answer that.
It's a no.
Lorule is its own thing.
Yeah, Lorule is just another. It's just another world that exists. It was A Link to the Past. He did change the Sacred Realm back to basically his wish was to undo the damage that had been done by by Ganon and Aghanim. So all the damage in Hyrule, the king is revived, all the maidens go back home, his uncle survives, your uncle recovers, as the end credits tell you. Lorule it's in its dark state when they had in their world their own Triforce, which they destroyed to prevent political conflict, but it actually started causing other problems for them, like their world literally crumbling. So
easy answer for this. The end of A Link Between Worlds, they go to the Sacred Realm, and it's not the Dark World, it is the Sacred Realm. They are in not the Chamber of Sages.
And it's beautiful.
What's it called? The Temple of no.
It's not a
I don't
temple.
think there's a name for it. Where
They go to the Chamber of Sages in A Link Between Worlds.
They do go there, yes.
And then there's like this pathway out from it with like columns going up, and then there's the Triforce that they have to get to. So
That's
like
beautiful.
They literally go to the restored, beautiful Sacred Realm. I forgot what it was. I was thinking Silent Realm, Low World, Dark World, Termina, like all of these different
they go
worlds.
to the Temple of Light.
Yeah.
The Chamber of Sages is a chamber
inside the Temple of Light.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
in A Link Between Worlds, you have Hyrule, Lorule, and the future restored version of the Dark World. Because
You
the
know
Dark
what
World.
I really love about that bit? First of all, the Chamber of Sages being back. Like, first time seeing it from Ocarina of Time. I love that.
That was really
But then
cool.
when you go out into that area where you actually see the Triforce, it's so reminiscent of this artwork from A Link to the Past of, like, basically, like, backstory artwork of the Triforce in the Sacred Realm. And it, like, looks just like that. And it's just, like, it just hits me in all the right nostalgia places because Link to the Past was my first Zelda game, so that game, just A Link Between Worlds, I played, I'm like, I get all giddy. So, anyways.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's all I'm saying. It's a beautiful time. It's beautiful. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
So yes, Javier in the chat, you got it right. Like, they're basically both just parallel dimensions.
Yeah.
Well, like, Termina is not. That's another topic, but yes.
Yeah, there are interviews where it's called like an alternate dimension or a parallel world, but there's also interviews where Aonuma, who created the game, states that it is a physical location located next to Hyrule. So for all we know, that area to the north of Hyrule in Breath of the Wild could be Termina, based off of that interview that Aonuma said.
Yeah. The thing is with Termina is it's such a messy topic because Hyrule Historia says one thing, Hyrule Encyclopedia says another thing, and then all these other people, like the game manual in the Zelda's Elector's Pack for the GameCube says another thing about Termina. So it's just a big hodgepodge of them.
Yeah. But I go by not the game manuals and stuff because those are written by different people. I go by like the guy who created the game.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's the thing. And that's, I think, the most trustworthy source. That and also what's happening in game as well.
Yeah. Because like it being created by Skull Kid putting on the mask, but there are memories and cutscenes that take place long before he gets the mask. Like when you go to the tree at the bottom of like when you're getting close to the swamp area, there's the drawing on the tree that triggers the cutscene, and it shows the fairies first meeting the Skull Kid under the hollowed out log tree thing, whatever it is. And then like the next day he's doing cartwheels and stuff in the grass and sitting on top of it, and they're all having fun and whatnot. That cutscene could not exist if Hyrule Historia was
If any
correct.
of them were. Yeah. No, I think it's Zelda Encyclopedia that says that it's created by the mask.
Yeah, so like the game itself disproves that. But anyways, let's move on to the next topic, the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Daniel, do you want to do it? Or Luke, do you want to do it? I don't have it, so it's up to you guys.
If you want me to do it, I can do it.
Sure, I did another thing. Go for it, Luke. Take us away.
Oh, baby. Let's do this. All right.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Can I get a click in the chat? That was beautiful.
It is. Think about this. Think about this. It is 1:30 a.m. for me.
Same here.
34 people are watching.
Wow.
Do you have
That's
work
pretty-
tomorrow,
These
Daniel?
guys for making bad decisions. I do, but
Okay,
who
here,
needs
Daniel. Can
Who
you
needs sleep?
can you write down 2:04?
Okay.
All right. Now you can start on the next topic.
All right. So am I doing an introduction?
Yes.
Wait, Luke's doing it? Cool. Yeah, you just got to be like, "Hello, everyone. I am Luke. Blah 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 blah."
No. You're Jesse. He's Luke.
Can I actually do that?
Yeah. Do it. Say like, "What's up?"
Guys,
Or no, yeah.
good.
Okay, so go. Hello, everyone. I am Jesse, or as you may know me, Game Over Jesse. Here with us is Daniel and Gluke. So yeah, just do it like that, and then be like,
Right.
"Today we're going to be talking about," and then read out the title, and then say like what website it's from and everything. So that's the way that we do it.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So here we go. All right. How's it going, everybody? My name is Jesse. Give over Jesse, as you know it. And over here, we've got our co-host Daniel and special guest Gluke. And today we're going to be talking about a SNES style controller for Nintendo Switch appearing in FCC filing over on Polygon.com. And it does say Nintendo may be making a Super NES style wireless controller for Nintendo Switch based on images from a recent filing with the U.S. Federal Communications Commission. The FCC filing was spotted by a member of the Reset Era forums and features a drawing of the back of the wireless device. The silhouette is unmistakably the SNES controller, and the model number and FCC ID include the letters HAC, which is used in Nintendo's model numbers for the Switch hardware and accessories. Nintendo's filing may provide further evidence for the long-rumored addition of Super NES games for Nintendo Switch Online, which currently offers subscribers a growing list of classic NES games. In January, a member of the modding community uncovered evidence of SNES titles for Nintendo Switch Online, including games like Super Mario Kart, Pilot Wings, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and Super Mario World. The addition of SNES games for Nintendo Switch Online would be a welcome feature, as evidenced by this month's deep cut additions to the service, Kung Fu Heroes and Vice Project Doom. Nintendo currently sells wireless controllers for the Switch based on the design of the NES controller. Those controllers are available exclusively to Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. Do you want me to read that list a little bit?
If you want. I think everyone, just go ahead. Go
Polygon
ahead.
Polygon has reached out to Nintendo for comment on the filing and will update when the company responds.
They are not going to respond because Nintendo wants to wait to announce it themselves instead of letting Polygon steal their thunder.
Ooh, baby!
Nintendo wants their own clicks. So-
Daniel, what happened when Nintendo was asked if they would ever release a Nintendo 3DS?
This is what they said. No, it's perfect the way it is, and nothing will change.
Yeah, they literally
And then
said
guess
that.
what? We had like 800 different types
Yeah.
of 3DS.
Yeah, like literally like a couple of months later, they're like, "Hey, here's the Nintendo 3DS," and everyone's like, "But Miyamoto, you told us to go ahead and buy a Nintendo 3DS and not worry about a better model coming out."
Wait, the company told you to buy their product?
Because they said a new iteration, a new revision, a 3DS XL was never going to release.
Yeah.
And a few
So
months
that's
later,
just
it
how
did
Nintendo-
release, along with like 6 other models.
But yes, there was a while back they had like found some files in the Switch. The Switch's like eShop files or something, hinting at Super Nintendo files as the article stated.
Yeah.
And it honestly, Super Nintendo games, the Switch controller is just a Super Nintendo controller with thumbsticks and some extra buttons. Like it will fit so perfectly. We got wireless NES controllers already, which work with any game. having SNES controllers that would work with any Switch title, basically any game where you could use a D-pad instead of the thumbsticks, perfect. I want to use my SNES controller now. Like, I want this. I want this so bad. I love the Super Nintendo. It's one of my favorite consoles ever. And they've got and the big reason for that is also Super Nintendo games have aged so much more gracefully than NES games in general. And some of the best games ever created have been Super Nintendo games, and I want those on my Switch. I don't care if I have to buy it again. I'll buy it as many times. I will buy Super Metroid as many times as it takes.
Super Mario World! Woohoo!
Seriously. Super Mario World, A Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Country Trilogy. Just the list goes on. And the SNES Classic and Earthbound, I can't believe I didn't say Earthbound. The SNES Classic Edition has, or the SNES Mini, has like such a great library of games. But if they're able to just like update it and just drip feed us more Super Nintendo games, I will be a happy man for the rest of time. That's all I'm saying. Just for the rest of time, you could just put liquid dilute Super Nintendo games into an IV and just stick it in there and just drip feed me Super Nintendo games forever, and I'll like carry it around with me. That's my plan.
Drip.
Get on it, Nintendo. Drip feed me SNES titles.
Drip, click, done.
Drip it and click it. Okay, so that's everything I have to say about this news story. Jesse, what do you got to say about this?
Yeah, it's so like a quick wrap up of everything is that basically hackers found file names for Super Nintendo games in somewhere in the Nintendo Switch's coding. And then now there are filings of Super Nintendo controllers. And before, when like these filings released, like there was a thing for like the VR stuff, and everyone's like, Nintendo would never do VR, and even Nintendo themselves was saying VR is not at a point to where it is entertaining or fun and stuff.
We'll never make mobile games, guys.
There was even those interviews where like Nintendo will never make mobile games, like they deny everything, even Skyward Sword HD, but we know they are actually making it. And like this Super Nintendo thing, like they can deny it, but it's like it's common sense. Like you did the same thing with the NES. The document for the NES controller leaked. Everyone's like, oh, it's just something that they could come up with or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to release it. They released it. They came out with the VR filings. Everyone's like, you can't wear a Switch for a headset. It's too big, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, not only are you going to wear it for a headset, you're going to put a giant robot cardboard box on, and you're going to enjoy it. You're going to build a robot suit out of cardboard and strings. It's going to take you 8 hours, and you are going to enjoy it after paying $80 for it.
Yes.
And guess what?
What they do.
People enjoyed it, and they did it when everyone else was like, no, they're not going to do it. So everyone that's ever been like, Nintendo's not going to do this, Nintendo went ahead and did it. So with this, like, I just think it's obvious. Like, if someone comes out right now and says Nintendo's not going to release Super Nintendo games on the Nintendo Switch, they deserve to just be smacked for being stupid.
I'm just more shocked that they haven't already released Super Nintendo games. The Switch is the perfect system for it.
Yeah. Okay, so to end this discussion, there's 3 of us, so 3 games. 3 games that you would like, because Nintendo releases 3 games each month for the NES. So presumably they're going to replace the 3 NES releases every month with SNES releases, which is something cool. We may get like the Life of Luxury version of A Link to the Past.
The what?
Like the Zelda thing that they did where they like gave you all the hearts, all the weapons and everything from the beginning.
Oh,
and,
yeah, the like special version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Japan it was called like The Legend of Zelda Life of Luxury or something like that. Because you had like all the rupees and all the items, so like Yeah, it was a weird name, but in
That is a weird name.
what was it called in the American release?
Special.
Special?
So it was literally just A Link to the Past, but you get everything right off the bat.
No, that's what they did for the original Zelda and
On
Zelda
the NES
2.
online service.
Yeah.
Like you get the Legend of Zelda Special. You just start the save file off with like you have the blue ring, a bunch of money, and like a few items already right off the bat, and like
Yeah.
a handful of keys for some reason. So,
Yeah.
and I guess they figured that, and it's like the same with the Metroid Special on the NES Online. Is just like you start with the Varia suit and a bunch of extra energy tanks, and for some reason you start in the middle of Norfair instead of in Brinstar, which is
Yeah.
weird, but just drops you halfway through the game.
Yeah.
Like, go fight Ridley now. It's just started.
Yeah.
Okay.
But since they did it with Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, I imagine like after they release A Link to the Past on it, like a few months later, they will release a special edition for A Link to the Past. What would be amazing if Nintendo was amazing and they loved us, since it is Super Nintendo games, they could release
Yeah, Zelda.
all of the BS Zelda games, like the 2 or 3 of them, however many there were, 3 I think.
Just the Satellaview SNES games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Satellaview Mario games and stuff, because there was like more than just Zelda. But anyways, they could release those. That would be really cool. So anyways, remember, the online games you can play, like the NES online games, you can play online with your friends. So SNES games, there's a lot of multiplayer SNES games. Like they're not just the original games. They don't remake them, but they mod them so they work with online. So here's the thing. Super Mario Kart is my first choice because you would be able to play it online. Like the SNES Mario Kart. Imagine playing that online. That would be great.
Be a gong show.
So Luke,
I would-
your turn.
I would probably play that for like 10 minutes and then go back to Mario Kart 8.
I'm with Luke there. I find Super Mario Kart is like, for the time, wow,
Yeah.
awesome. But looking back at it, I'm like, wow, I keep crashing into walls. It's like,
Yeah, basically.
Curve bruh 13 in the chat. Little 13-year-old says nerds, STFU, and sleep. Here's the thing. We get paid for being nerds. So, like, talking about Zelda literally bought my car and helps me support my daughter. So, instead of going around telling nerds to go to sleep because your life is so
Wait a
pathetic, you have nothing else to do, that's the only thing that you can do.
asleep?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, his life is so pathetic that all he can do is go around and try to make fun of other people because he's so disappointed with his own life that the only satisfaction he gets is trying to make other people feel as miserable as he does.
Maybe he's like, man, I hate my insomnia so much. I wish I could sleep more. Oh my god, these guys are staying up late talking. Guys, you need some sleep, guys.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know. It's
he
definitely not
he
that
also
one.
doesn't understand time zones because it could be like 4 a.m. where he's at, and it's like not even midnight where you're at, Daniel. So
No,
like
it's not. It's 10:30.
he's even
And guess what? I'm an adult man. I can go to bed whenever I want.
yeah. That makes him even stupider than I thought he was. So anyways, Daniel, continue.
What was I saying? Continuing.
Some nerdy
You were
stuff.
saying something about Mario Kart.
I was just saying Mario Kart would be fun. You guys said you would go on to
yeah,
Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, no, it's just it hasn't aged as gracefully as like my go-to Mario Kart is either Mario Kart 8 or 16.
Yeah. Someone in the chat said Tetris Attack.
Tetris Attack. Any
Yeah.
form of Tetris.
It had Mario. It was like a Mario themed Tetris game, but it wasn't Tetris at all.
Okay, whack.
It was actually really good. I liked it. But what are some SNES games, like multiplayer SNES games?
Does it have to be multiplayer?
No, but multiplayer are games that would like you'd be able to play them with your friends. So like at least
Sure,
pick
but
one
I don't
multiplayer.
care about
game.
online games. I just want Super Metroid. just give me Super Metroid. As John from Game Explain said, in a video recently said, what is the best Super Nintendo game and why is it Super Metroid?
Oh yeah, I seen that in a tweet.
It's just the truth. It's honestly my favorite. It's the only game I actually enjoy speedrunning. I'll just put that out there.
Hey, Joey.
I'll have to give it a try. I've never been a fan of Metroid. I tried playing the original one, and it wasn't that fun to me.
Everybody in the chat,
skip the original.
Give a huge congratulations to Ferris Wheel Pro.
Yeah.
Just tell him how amazing he is, how beautiful he is, how sexy that beard is, how much I just want to lick his ears. I mean, what?
Wait.
What?
What?
I said I see deers. There's deers outside the window. I want to kick the deers.
That's cruelty, Jesse.
That's what I thought you said.
Okay.
Cruelty to PETA.
Yeah.
FBI, open up, Jesse.
I think PETA would call and they'd tell you.
Joey, if you would like, you can join on with us. Like, you could literally get on Discord right now and join us.
This is true.
Yeah.
But yes, Super Metroid is my number one pick. I know I'm even putting it above A Link to the Past, and it's just because like Super Metroid is the kind of game I'm so into that game. I can pick it up, play for 3 hours, 100% complete it, set it down, come back and do it again the next day, and it doesn't get old. And in fact, I've done that. So, but a game like A Link to the Past, I know it's hard for me to put it above that, but I still think A Link to the Past will always be one of my favorite games ever. But Super Metroid, if I'm like, I want to play a Super Nintendo game, Super Metroid's the hands down.
There you go.
I don't care about the online functionality, except you could have like build a leaderboard into it with like your percentage and time, and just like throw it up there. There you go. There's my idea. There's your multiplayer.
All right.
Nice.
Luke, did you have another game?
Yeah. I never listed any.
Lay it down.
Okay, give us your game.
So the three I would pick would be the.
No, you just pick one. We go in turns. Did Daniel list all of his?
I just picked one.
Okay,
and I
yeah.
talked about
We're
it a
taking
lot.
turns.
I thought all three of us were picking three. Okay, well then in that case, I'm picking Super Mario World. It's the only SNES game I like playing.
No, Super Mario All Stars.
No, just Mario World.
No, you get Super Mario World. You get Super Mario World, and then you get the remakes of all the others.
I don't want to play those. I just want Mario World.
Super Mario World is a good choice.
Would you like it?
I love that game.
Would you like it if they made Super Mario World multiplayer? Like actual multiplayer, like New Super Mario Bros. To where like two people are jumping around at the same time.
Like New Super Mario Brothers, kind of like that.
Yeah, but it's just Super Mario World.
But it's just Super Mario World. Yeah, I would like that, and at the same time, I wouldn't like that because I like going my pace, and everyone that I play with is super slow, and I hate that. I just want to grab them, throw them off the cliff, so I can speed through the level. But,
just get the cape and just.
Yeah, that's what I do. Especially when I get into Donut Hill, I just get a cape power up, and then I just fly over the course and I skip everything because I don't want to deal with enemies.
Well,
and and honestly, A Link to the Past is not even in my top 10 Zelda games. So I'm just saying.
Wow.
So Mario World is going to be Mario World
is good. It's my favorite Mario game.
Mario World is like in my top 3 Mario games, and it's my favorite SNES game. So that's what I would say.
The thing is, like you said, like it's the only SNES game that you haven't played, but you also said you haven't played Super Metroid, so I'm gonna still take it as a win. And you skip the original Metroid, play Super Metroid, and then just have your mind melt in your head, except in a good way.
I'll check it out. Everyone says Super Metroid is the best.
It is good, and this isn't a nostalgia bias because for me, like A Link to the Past, I fully know that is a nostalgia bias for me. Super Metroid I played for the first time in 2015, so that is not a nostalgia bias for me. It is just honestly that good.
Okay.
So,
okay. I'll have to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesse, what is your number 2?
Okay, so for some reason I was thinking that Super Mario RPG was on Super Nintendo.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
For some reason, like I pictured the game in my head, and it was like an N64 cart, and I'm like, that's not right. It was
That
like if it was on Nintendo 64, it would have looked a lot better.
It would have, yeah.
Yeah, it was Super Nintendo, and
Yeah, I
that
think
game-
I got it
that-
confused with Paper Mario
Yeah,
64.
Paper
Yeah,
Mario.
Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi were
So-
inspired from that game.
Yeah, so I would get
Actually,
Super Mario.
Paper Mario's working title was Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
So I would go with Super Mario RPG as mine, and I would love
Good
for it
one.
to be multiplayer. But that's
So,
like
being an RPG like that, how would they do multiplayer? Like you would like each take control of a party member, or
yeah, like
how would
you
you
could
want
have
to do
2 people walking around on the map, and then whenever it goes into like the fighting mechanic, it's just like instead of you controlling everyone, like you get to pick your character's move, and the other person gets to pick their character's move. Like there's RPGs that do it.
Yep.
So
So it's like the 2-player in Pokemon Let's Go.
yeah, yeah.
So, okay. All right. My number 2 is gotta be Earthbound, because speaking of RPGs, that game is wicked. That's another game that it's like mind melting. Earthbound, Super Metroid is like the masterclass in game design. Earthbound is the opposite. Earthbound is the game that throws game design out the window and is just a piece of art itself. That is my firm belief that that game is not a masterclass in game design. There's some flaws in the games. There's some really good game design choices. Mostly, Earthbound is just a frankly great piece of art, and which is what video games should be art. So that's my number 2 choice. Earthbound is another one of the Super Nintendo games I continually go back to. It's just bueno. So that's all I gotta say about that. I could gush for hours if left unchecked. So Luke, your number 2.
Number 2 would probably be Link to the Past, because that's all I play on the SNES is
Mario
Mario-
World Link to the Past.
Mario World and
Sounds
Link
like
to the
my
Past.
childhood until I got an
That's literally if I had a Super Nintendo, that would be all I play, and maybe actually no, I'll save that for the third game. Never mind.
touche, but also a good choice.
Yeah.
As I mentioned,
Because-
I love A Link to the Past to bits.
Because I have a lot of gripes with Link to the Past, but I still think it's a really good game, so I'd pick that.
I'd love to hear your gripes, but then that might also break my heart. Oh
jeez.
no!
All
All
right.
right, Jesse, take us away.
Secret of Mana?
Oh,
No. Illusion of Gaia.
Illusion of Gaia. Okay. Also,
One of the 2.
Okay.
okay.
Have you guys ever played Illusion of Gaia?
I have not.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a game. It's like a Link to the Past ripoff, is how I looked at it.
Isn't it an RPG though?
Yeah.
The Link to the Past is not an RPG. It
No.
has elements.
But the character designs and everything is like, and the world design is just like a Link to the Past. That's
But
that's
it's
how I played
good.
it. I was like, this is good. It's not a Link to the Past, but I'll play it.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry.
Played it.
Nothing-
I know
nothing
it
too
is a
exciting.
well-reviewed game. It is actually. I've heard good. Except you just called it a ripoff. You're like, this is my number 3 choice.
Well, it's
for
it's like
all Super Nintendo
no.
games.
So it's like I always forget the name of it. They were supposed to come on for an interview like 1,000 times, but we ended up like not having them on 1,000 times because we can never pick out an exact
the
day.
composer guy,
No,
𝐓𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐸.
no, the developers that made the Zelda-like game.
Oh, the Castle Pixel.
Yeah.
That
Well,
made
the name of the
Blossom
game.
Tales?
Yeah, I keep forgetting it. Blossom Tales. It's a Zelda ripoff,
So good.
but
so
it's an
good.
amazing game.
It's Zelda inspired.
Yeah.
It's a good game. It's real good.
It's a great game. It's the best A Link to the Past like game there is. Better than Illusion of Gaia.
But it's not a Super Nintendo game.
No.
True.
But it kind of looks like one, sort of.
But it looks like one too.
Anyways, that was my last one. Daniel, what's your
Mine
last?
Was gonna be A Link to the Past, but Luke took it. So I must choose instead Donkey Kong Country, number 1. Because my backup to A Link to the Past was also going to be Super Mario World, but Luke took that one. So Donkey Kong Country, number 1. I know a lot of people think Donkey Kong Country 2 is the peak of that trilogy, but there's a place in my heart, Donkey Kong Country 1, I like it a little more. Even though, like, objectively I can look at the two games and be like, yeah, that game's probably the better one. There's, just sometimes, yeah, it's probably nostalgia. Let's be honest. But I like Donkey Kong. I like Donkey Kong games. They're like brutally hard platformers, which are fun. The music, the art, everything, it's just beautiful. Bueno, agano. Bueno, agano.
Perfecto. Mwah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that is a tough choice of all Super Nintendo games, but yeah. Luke,
final
number 3.
All right.
final thing.
We gotta do the cool YouTuber snappy intro. Whew, number 3. Like,
Number 3. Okay, so I don't really play any SNES games other than those two. So if I had to pick a third one, I would say Nintendo brings Mother 3 to NA.
But that's a GBA game.
Yeah.
Is it? I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought.
No, see, here's the thing. It started as a Super Nintendo game, went to a Nintendo 64 disk drive game, went to a Nintendo 64 cartridge game, went to a Game Boy Advanced game.
Yeah, it was a mess of a development.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it could run on a Super Nintendo, which has a better sound chip anyways, so...
Because I was going to say it looks like a Super Nintendo game. I thought it was one. Okay, never mind. Okay.
I think
No,
they made
like,
it
it
to
might as
look
well
as
be.
much like the original as possible.
I think that was the plan, was to just
Well-
keep the same art style as Earthbound.
If not Mother 3, then I would probably pick. That's a great question. I don't know like any SNES games. I don't know any. Final Fantasy, I guess.
6, I guess, was the one that was on SNES.
Whichever one's on Super Nintendo.
I think it's 6.
I can't. I don't play.
There's probably
Super
like
Nintendo.
a couple of them that are, but I'm pretty sure, I know for sure 6 it.
Okay. I can't
I've heard
think
it's
of
a good one. I have not played it though. Just like I haven't played Mother 3.
Ooh. Alright.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
Okay.
So
Speaking of
to
Super
recap,
Nintendo, hold up. So speaking of Super Nintendo, I gotta say this real quick. I
yes.
did not understand why Nintendo was like, you guys can't play Super Nintendo games on the 3DS. It's not powerful enough. And yet,
The new 3DS played.
but 3DS ambassadors could get Game Boy Advance games. I have 10 Game Boy Advance games on my 3DS because I'm an ambassador.
And
Those things are like,
the Game Boy Advance had a 32-bit processor, which is literally twice like the 16-bit processor of the Super Nintendo. So yeah, it is really weird.
So they said that, and also, a lot of modders have just modded the normal 3DS, and they were like, "Nintendo, what are you talking about? This is fine. Look at all these Super Nintendo games running fluently on your system," and they're like, "What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. You can't do that. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work." And they just ignored it, and they're like,
They want to sell you a new 3DS
All right,
and get
Daniel.
your clicks.
"To
Daniel,
get the clicks."
go to.
I mean, money.
Do you got your phone?
I have it.
Okay, go to the reviews. We're going to do that part now.
We're gonna do the reviews.
Yeah. Luke,
Oh,
do you have
new
iTunes?
Do we have new ones?
Yeah.
Nope, I do not have iTunes.
Wait, do you have screenshots of these? I
Oh,
can never
yeah.
find the reviews on iTunes. I don't know how to do things.
I'll just do it like this.
Okay. This is
Alright.
the behind the scenes part, guys, where we're gonna edit this part out.
Probably not.
Ah.
Probably not. All right, I'm just gonna entertain the audience.
No, here they are. Okay,
Listen
so
to my up and down. Okay.
let me see. I think I have it written. Do I have it written?
Yeah, see, whenever I try and pull up the reviews, this is what happens. It shows me that there's 5-star rating, and then it shows me
Yeah.
hit see all, and there's nothing there.
All right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Hylian Gamescast. No. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Hylian Gamescast. I can't do it. I just can't.
I stole your intro. I'm sorry.
It's Luke turned into Game Over Jesse earlier. Luke, tell me who I am, Luke. Am I Luke? Am I Gluke? Am I Jesse?
You are Jesse, Game Over Jesse, as they all know you.
All right. Hello everyone. I am Jesse, or as you all may know me, Game Over Jesse. Here with us is Gluke and Daniel.
Right over here.
Hello.
Today we're going to be reading some of your reviews that you were kind enough to leave on iTunes for us. Remember, you can go to iTunes and listen to all of our podcasts and not have to look at our beautiful faces on the videos. So we have
really a shame.
and we will read out some of your nice and grateful reviews. So we have one here. I'll start off from Julian, who says, the best Zelda and Nintendo Insight. I can't really say that. What is that? It's cut off.
It is?
Hold on. Yeah, it just says inside ... Like it doesn't continue. Anyways, it says the best Zelda and Nintendo Insider podcast. Game Over Jesse and crew have the best discussion on Zelda and all Nintendo related material on the internet. What makes this podcast so great is the personality of each member. Each one of them are knowledgeable about the source material and have a great sense of humor. I love listening to people talking about Zelda and making me laugh. I love the theory videos as well. Keep it up, guys.
Woo!
Yeah, so if you go to the Discord, Daniel, Luke, and the chat, do you see 2 screenshots? You can pick out any of them there, preferably the newest ones at the top.
All right. Well, this one it's short, it's sweet, it's nice. It's from Frymat. He says this podcast has the funniest group of people. They're so informative about the Legend of Zelda series. That's it. Short and sweet and to the point is good.
Nice.
Thank you, Matt Fry.
Luke.
I ate that up. All right. This one is from Logan Wolves. It says, your guys are awesome.
Those guys that belong to us.
Your guys
Those are your
awesome.
guys.
They're your guys, you know?
Yeah. We're your guys.
Yeah.
The guy. Okay. And Logan Wolves said, just started to listen to your podcast today. I can't wait to see what lets you have in mind about gaming. Guys know a lot about Zelda and Nintendo. I think he meant to say guys know a lot about Nintendo and Zelda. Thanks once again. You guys are awesome.
That's great. So remember, we put these little reviews at the end of some of our podcast segments, and sometimes if we have enough reviews to read, we'll put it up as its own video. But it's just a thank you for you leaving your reviews on iTunes. Please, if you can, go download the podcast, subscribe on iTunes podcasts, and help us out. Give us the 5-star rating or 4, or if you just don't like us, feel free to go ahead and give us the 1-star rating. Just be truthful in your comment and let us know how you feel. And it really does help us out a lot, especially getting into conventions like E3 and stuff. So go there. You'll get the full podcast the same day that the live podcast uploads, and then Monday through Friday you'll get each of the individual segments that we recorded. Yeah.
Yep.
So I believe it's mailbag time, right?
Yeah.
Mail time.
Zelda mailbag.
Mailbag.
It's Blue's Clues.
Yes.
Wonder what got. All right, so everyone in the chat, this is your turn. This is where you come in. Give us your question. Tell us everything. Give us your theory to discuss. Give us your question to answer. This is what you've all been waiting for.
Do we read the Patreon supporter ones?
Yes.
Yes, we should do a new intro for this segment.
Are these new or
all right.
Did we... For the YouTube people, I'm gonna take out. I've noticed there's some questions you were going to answer. I'm just gonna.
All right. Go ahead and do that. I'll do the intro for this.
Just gonna bullet.
Hello everyone, I am Jesse, or 𝐵𝐺𝐸 as all of you may know me. Here with us is Daniel and Hylian Luke, who has his own YouTube channel and Twitch where he streams Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, basically all Zelda stuff, some other Nintendo stuff, some randomizers, everything. Today we're going to be answering your questions from the Zelda mailbag. If you support us on Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJesse, you are guaranteed to have your questions answered. So, our first question today comes from Yiga Kermit Joy-Con Boys Forever. Do you think Breath of the Wild 2 will have DLC?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know what it will be, but yeah.
Yes.
All right, next question, guys.
Done.
We're good at this.
That's the fastest we've ever answered a mailbag question.
So, yeah, I think it'll be something similar. Like in Breath of the Wild, they gave us like the Breath of the Wild style dungeon was the Divine Beast, and they gave us what I would consider one of the better Divine Beasts as the final bonus DLC in the Creating Champions.
Best one.
I don't know what to call it, the mission type thing. Like you get so familiar with the areas in Breath of the Wild, especially the Great Plateau, because like you begin there and you stay there for a few hours until you manage to get off when it's your first time playing, and then you're always returning there as well, whether if it's to go to the Temple of Time to upgrade your stamina or your hearts, or maybe there's like new DLC chests that appear that you have to go look for, or certain mushrooms or whatever that only grow there. For whatever reason, you're always going back. It's basically in the middle of the map. You're very familiar with it. And they completely turned that around in the Champions Ballad. Whenever they give you the one-hit obliterator, it completely changes the style of gameplay 100%. No longer are you charging in, trying to obliterate people, not worried about being hit because you have level 20, 25 armor on, and you have a sword that's like the Master Sword at full strength at 60, and you got the Hylian shield, and maybe you have some defense or attack buffs on, and you just run in and you can basically destroy anything. But whenever you're playing with the one-hit obliterator, it completely changes it. It turns into a complete stealth mission, and suddenly you're going into parts of the Great Plateau that you never had been before, and you're looking at it in a completely different way. So I really enjoyed that, and I hope they do something similar with Breath of the Wild 2, because it reminded me a lot of Skyward Sword when you get dropped in the Elden area and all of your stuff is gone. So it's kind of similar. Like you have to sneak around and be stealthy, and I think that DLC part was heavily inspired by that segment in Skyward Sword. So that's what I would like, is just if they bring Breath of the Wild 2 and they do the same thing to where like the main DLC pack gives you that one extra giant dungeon, that would be cool. Obviously, it wouldn't be in the style of the Divine Beasts because that was Breath of the Wild 1, so I imagine it would be like a normal dungeon. Like maybe the dungeon is the Temple of Time. I've always wanted a segment to where in the DLC, like the goddess statue is just gone. Like the Hylian, the goddess Hylia statue is completely gone, and there's just a pedestal there where she was. And you stick the sword in the pedestal, and all of a sudden it takes you back 100 years or whatever, 200 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Maybe you, by some weird time traveling stuff, end up being the hero 10,000 years ago that stopped Ganondorf by some weird thing. something similar happened in Skyward Sword, where you kill Demise in the present, and then you go like 1,000 or 10,000, however many years in the past, and you kill him again. So like it's weird because it's like if you kill him in the past, then there was no point in killing him in the future. Like it whatever. Anyways, so there's that whole thing, and it's just like, yeah, like give us like would it not be awesome if the this is talking to you two and everybody watching the video live and the edited video or listening while you're driving in your car. I'm talking to you, Jim. So if
Oh, okay.
wouldn't it be odd if someone named Jim's like, you're talking to me? What? No.
He's like,
So
what the hell?
imagine this. After you 100,
That's what I'm like, it's
No.
cursed.
just imagine. After you like 100% complete Breath of the Wild,
Yeah.
you go back to the Temple of Time. Like maybe there's like the shiny light that is around the goddess statue.
Right.
But the whole temple is glowing like that, and you can like see it from like Elden Volcano, or like no matter where you're at, you can see like a shiny light, kind of like whenever a star fragment
Mountain?
comes. Yeah, kind of like that. So, but it's the Temple of Time. So like you go there and like everything's the same, but the goddess statue is missing, and it's just a Master Sword pedestal. You put your sword in it, and it takes you back to a fully formed Temple of Time. And then you have the stairs like going to the window, like in Twilight Princess, or like when Navi flew up to the window in Ocarina of Time, and you go into it, and it's kind of like the Temple of Time from Twilight Princess, at least the way that you enter it. You know, like you have to go through the window, which I believe technically takes you to the Temple of Light, not the Temple of Time, because like you have to go through the Temple of you have to go through the Temple of Time to get to the Sacred Realm, which is in the Temple of Light. So I think going through that window actually takes you to the Temple of Light. Like that's where the portal is to go to the Sacred Realm, because the Temple of Light is in the Sacred Realm because it has the Chamber of Sages in it. Anyways, so you put the sword in, it takes you back in time. You see like these stairs made from magic or light, whatever, kind of like in Twilight Princess. You run up it, like the painting fades out, you go through the door or whatever, and suddenly like you're in this new dungeon, but it's a giant dungeon. It's not just like Ganon's Castle in Ocarina of Time, to where it's like, this is the Shadow Temple segment, this is the Fire Temple segment, this is the Water Temple segment. That was fun the first time, but I think like Stone Tower Temple and Majora's Mask did it better, to where instead of giving you like, this is the section where you need the Zora mask, this is the section where you need the Deku mask, like you have to like, there's puzzles in rooms, like in a single room. You might have different puzzles to where you need to use all three masks and the Hylian form.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to turn into a Goron so you can roll through the lava. And then there's water, so you got to put on the Zora's mask and go through. So if it was something like that combined all of the different elements from the other dungeons and not just give you the segmented areas, that would be my perfect DLC. Give you that one last giant bonus dungeon as a thank you.
Well, that's kind of what the Divine Beast dungeon in the Champions Belt was kind of like, though. It had elements from all the other Divine Beasts in it.
Yeah. But in this case, it would be like an actual temple.
Segmented the way Ganon's Tower is. Like, here's the room with lava in it, and here's the room with water in it, here's the room with wind in it, and here's the room with the electricity puzzle.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah. Yeah.
But that's what I would want. It's just like one that mixes it perfectly and doesn't have them all segmented out as a final hoorah, thank you. And then maybe since like in the main story, the main boss would be defeated. Maybe at this, like the main boss would be like maybe Dark Link or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I really want a Zelda game where Dark Link is the main villain. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Four Swords Adventure.
Yeah, he pops up everywhere.
Does that count as...
No.
No. Hold up, because is there a difference between Dark and Shadow Link?
all of
Oh,
them,
yeah, actually, that's a good point. I guess it's
every game
technically
has a
Shadow.
completely different Dark
They're
Link.
all
Like
different
every time you see
entities.
Dark Link or Shadow Link, it is a completely different entity.
Why is that?
Like Dark Link in Ocarina of Time is just that he just exists in that room, right?
Yeah, and
He's
then
not the same as Dark Link in Zelda 2.
yeah, one of them is a representation of like literally Link's shadow. There's another one where it's just Ganondorf creates, like, he has so much hate that he pulls the hate from himself and creates like a physical form for it, and he just makes it take on Link's shape as a bit of irony. And then so
Oh,
like
I
I actually made a video that like goes through and describes all of them and gives the origins for each of the different Dark Links and Shadow Links and everything.
okay.
So
I always thought that the Dark Link in the Water Temple in Ocarina of Time was a big symbolic thing because the water reflects what's in Link's heart, and he has to conquer the evil within himself.
well, that's what that one is, but all of the other
That's
ones.
Dark Link, yes. But other Dark Links that show up in the series are not necessarily
Yeah.
like they're not the same Dark Link that we see in Ocarina of Time. So that's just
Well, I would think so because there are different links in all the games.
exactly.
technically.
So that's. But some people think that like that there's just like one Dark Link who just
No,
is all over the series.
I've always assumed that the Dark Link in a specific game is like the dark version of that specific Link
Yeah, basically.
because they also
Usually.
look like that specific Link, so it makes sense.
That's usually what it is, but like I know in one of the games specifically, it's Ganondorf just like creates like a being out of his hatred, and he just wants it to take the form of Link because of irony, basically.
Which one is that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
don't know.
remember reading it.
Spirit Tracks?
I don't think. Well, Ganondorf isn't in Spirit Track.
I
Right,
actually want to say
yeah.
Four Swords.
Force Adventure?
Is it Four Swords Adventure, Jesse?
Maybe. I'll look really quick
Because
while you guys talk.
that would make sense because Shadow Link is like the main villain throughout the whole thing until you find out Ganon is behind everything. No, Vadi. There's like 3 villains in Four Swords Adventures. That thing was a
Four
train.
Swords Adventure is a bit of a mess as far as the.
Yeah, because it was like Shadow Link is the reason all the maidens are recaptured, and then you find out that like Vadi's the reason Shadow Link's doing all this, and then you find out the reason Vadi's doing all this is because Ganon's around. And
Okay,
it's like,
so
what?
it says the evil thoughts and resentment of Ganondorf, who had been killed by an earlier incarnation of Link and Twilight Princess, manifested through the Dark Mirror in the form of Link. He is possibly related to Dark Link, but has distinct differences in behavior, origin, and appearance, making any relationship between them unclear and speculative. So it's the evil thoughts and resentment of Ganondorf. So like when Ganondorf was killed in Twilight Princess, all the hatred he had manifested itself to become the Dark Shadow Link in Four Swords Adventures, coming through the Dark Mirror. So that's the one.
Would you say Dark Mirror? Is that the Mirror Twilight or something else?
It's the Dark Mirror. I don't.
I think it's just his own thing, not the Mirror of Twilight, but
Yeah, it says manifested through the Dark Mirror. So I guess in
Is
What
there
is-
a mirror in Four Swords Adventures? I've never seen one.
oof, I never beat the game, so
Neither did I. I got into Ganon's
I'm so
castle and I
bad.
stopped.
yeah.
I was so close to beating it, and then like I could have sworn there was like a puzzle in the game that required you to have multiplayer, or I just couldn't figure out. I couldn't figure out the puzzle because there was like this one puzzle where you needed to have 2 different items in the same room. I could have sworn it was like 2 different items in the same room, and you could only have one item at a time
Yeah.
in Four Swords Adventure.
Uh,
So I was like, well, I'm done. I can't beat this.
all right. So DLC guys. Yeah. What would you guys
So
want?
yes. I mean, like I'm
Yes.
very open book. They can just add more content, add an extra dungeon. If it's DLC, it should at least be an extra dungeon.
I want the master car.
It's a Mercedes.
The Mercedes. I want the Master Mercedes. I want to run Ganon over with my car.
It's beautiful.
It runs with the power to repel evil.
So the perfect DLC would be like
I was gonna say Loftwing.
no, a gauntlet style boss thing like they've had in past games, but it gives you like the main boss from past games. Like you can fight like Breath of the Wild's version of Zant or Vati or whatever. So like it doesn't give you the dungeons for it. That would be cool if it did, but that would be too much work. But just putting the boss in there, that would be far less work to like just put a boss in there and then have it recreate the movements and stuff that it did in past games. It's just in a new art style and you have new weapons and stuff to have new strategies to defeat it. Like imagine having Urbosa's Fury while you're fighting Zant and Twilight Princess. So it would be something like that to where like they have the same movements, maybe they have some different moves, some different attacks, but you have a new move set. So like fighting 𝐓𝐷𝐬𝐿, you don't have the giant hammer to like hit him on the head with. So like maybe you'd have to have the Cobble Crusher or whatever it is to like swing sideways, or when he's flying in the air you can use Urbosa's Fury and like make him come down, or maybe you can like jump off of something and shoot him in the head the same way that you have to get like Dinral's horns or whatever.
Just get like ancient arrows and just destroy every boss.
Yeah. Get a bow that like turns it into like 3 or 5 shots.
Yeah, get your Savage Lionel bow and ancient arrows lined up and just rip through every boss.
All right.
The series
We need to move on though. So Daniel or Luke, who has like, we keep getting sidetracked. So Luke, have you told yours?
No.
Okay.
DLC.
I think my question. I already did DLC. I said the Master Car.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
So Daniel.
Next question.
Oh, next question.
Next question. Let's choose one.
All right.
The man, boy, cave. Jesse. Oh, wait, you flagged that one or yourself. Are you just gonna read that one? All right, I'll pick a different one.
No. That's
No.
for something that we didn't do. You can do it.
Okay. The man, boy, cave says, so. I just played through Minish Cap for the first time. I was really impressed. I thought it had better visuals and color palette than Link to the Past. So my question is, what other smaller or portable Zelda games would you want ported to the Switch, and why? Also, why would you want it remade like Link's Awakening, or just remastered with maybe some added content? So I'll take a Link's Awakening style remake for any 2D Zelda game. And you know what I have not played at all is the Oracle games. So give me a Link's Awakening style remake, since the originals were in the same style as the original Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening style remake of the Oracle games, which happen to feature the same Link as well anyways. And bada bing bada boom, you got Daniel's $80. Done.
All right, mine's quick. If you've seen any of the videos where we talked about how we would do a Zelda 2 remake, making it kind of like New Super Mario Bros. Or Samus Returns, Metroid 2 Samus Returns, to where it is originally a 2D pixel game, but then they turn it into, and when I say New Super Mario Bros., I don't mean like make it all colorful and platformy. I just mean like take the old 2D game and give it new 3D character models, but still have it the side view 2D style, which is exactly what they did with Metroid 2 Samus Returns. And then you can also make it go to a Link to the Past or a Link Between Worlds kind of style when you're in the overworld. Because it does switch from side view 2D to top down 2D. So you can have it switch from that, and then you can have a lot more detail in the overworld. So that's how I would do it. Luke?
Yeah. I think I'm honestly on the same page with Daniel on this. Just kind of like, just kind of use that. I'm sorry, but no, just
betrayal.
Just use the Link's Awakening engine and just remake them in that. I would love to see Minish Cap. Honest to God, actually, I would love to see Minish Cap remade in the Link Between Worlds engine, because that game looked so pretty, and if they just like ported that to the Switch, like that engine to the Switch, those visuals are like perfect. I think the Link's Awakening it looks amazing, but I think it's a tad too cute.
I think you're too cute.
Yeah. I think
Well,
with the Link Between Worlds, as
I
like
think-
its art style is hampered by the low resolution of the 3DS screen,
mhm.
but the game itself looks fantastic. I'm with you there on that. Good. This is a Link
This is Link.
statue. This is
Game over Link. Game over Link.
Jesse, you look a little different today.
Yeah, did you dye your hair or something?
I see you've got your usual green hat though.
Yeah, usual green hat.
That Jesse is known for wearing.
The shield's new. I like it.
Nice. Different. Different.
No, my brother broke my old one, so like he was trying to move the arm and the sword, and it broke off. And then my cousin or my cousin's kid broke the shield. And then I have my
Oh my
Breath of the
God.
Wild statue that was broke too. So I found this one super duper cheap. And I got it, but the box was like completely destroyed. It looked horrible. So I was like, it's going to be all faded and messed up and stuff. But it looks great. So like I'm like, the box was horrible, but the figure itself is like complete. Sorry about that.
All good.
I'm just excited about it. I haven't taken it upstairs to my actual desk yet, so it's just laying around for now. I didn't mean for it to interrupt the podcast. I was just showing it on the screen. You guys were just like, yeah.
We just were all over it. Hey, here's a thought.
We were mesmerized.
Speaking of Zelda remakes, so in the Link's Awakening intro, we get this really cool like animated cartoon style.
What if that's a
intro.
tease to what the animated Zelda TV series for Netflix is going to look like?
Get out. Anyways, so no, don't go. Honestly, if they made a full game that looked like that, I would be all over it. I would be honestly so. You make a 2D game that just looks good as that intro, and just can have my monies. Bueno.
All right. Is it Luke's turn to pick a question?
Yeah. I'm gonna read.
Choose wisely.
You can pick one from the live chat if you want.
I want to read Key of Time 15's question.
Okay. He's a Patreon
you-
supporter. He's really cool.
Yeah,
Do you know him?
I deleted it. No, I'm kidding. Here it is.
Daniel, how could you do this to me?
Do you
I
know
just
Key of
have to
Time?
go.
He's a really cool
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, he's a really good friend of mine. He's a part of the
He's a
entire
good,
community.
Sweet.
good human.
Yeah.
I think he's still a Patreon supporter. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think he is. You guys should have him on the show.
We
Yeah.
should.
He's a
You
good
should.
human.
Since you're friends with him, you should tell him come on.
Just message him to be like, hey.
But he doesn't like us. He
He
likes
does.
he likes Daniel. He just doesn't like me.
He
He's
was
not
lit-
my Patreon supporter. He's your Patreon supporter.
Yeah, he was literally in the chat saying how many retweets to get on the show.
In this
really-
chat.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
in the live chat. He
Yeah.
said that.
Oh.
He said that. He said that in the chat.
The answer is 2.
He literally, you literally could have told him just to join the group call.
I told him one retweet would do it.
One is good. One's good.
One's fine. I could have brought it up. Yeah, so that's my
Alright.
bad.
Well,
Okay, so
get his question.
I'm gonna read Key's question. So
Do
he said, is anyone still as excited for the Link's Awakening remake as I am? And do you think it opens the possibility of more Zelda games made in the same style, such as the Oracle games? So basically, exactly what Daniel was saying. Yes, I do think that is a huge possibility because they worked really hard to make this engine look crisp, clean, and beautiful. So I could totally see them reusing it, like you said, Daniel, because it is the same Link in the Oracle games.
Hey.
So that'd be really cool. I personally want to see that Link Between Worlds port, but that's just me. Yeah, I'm excited for Link's Awakening, though. I really am. But I'm not too excited. But I will definitely be excited, like, when it's in my hands. So, and when I'm actually playing it. Because I've never played Link's Awakening before. So this would be really awesome to play. It's like one of the 3 Zelda games I haven't played. The other 2 are the Oracle games. I haven't played the Oracle games.
Oh.
If they remake the Oracle games as well, then I'll be in huge luck. And I do have the Oracle games on my 3DS, but I don't want to play on my 3DS anymore. I want my Switch, so I'm gonna see if they'll do that.
I want
I'd rather-
a bigger HD screen or.
That's basically it. I'm being a spoiled millennial, and I don't want to play on my pixelated screen.
But the thing is, like, also, not only is it like great we can play this game handheld, but I love being able to just slap that on the TV. But if they did do like if they're porting games, they need like screen smoothing for GBA games, like the Wii U eShop Virtual Console games have. Works great. But otherwise, yeah, just like just move that over into that new art style. Make it's so pretty, honestly. And they could even use the Link Between Worlds art style and just like glam it up a little more, and it would be perfect for a lot of those older games.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree.
Bueno.
What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I think like it could be something that like obviously Nintendo's been working on this engine for a while, with the style that it is, or whatever Grezzo's been making it. Nintendo's been helping them. It's coming out soon, so it's obviously been in development for like at least 2 years, I would say, because it's a handheld game. It's not going to take like 5 years to make. So I would say it's been in development
plus
for
a remake. So
yeah. So I would say it's been in development for like 2 years, and the engine itself is fully done. Obviously, it's just like the game being made that they have, and the Monolith Soft came out and announced they were making their new Zelda team. They have experience with Nintendo working on Breath of the Wild, so I would imagine Nintendo would trust them enough to work on a 2D game on their own. So they could have been lent this engine from Grezzo and Nintendo to work on the Oracle remakes, because the team was made around the same time that they probably got a good idea of when they would be able to release Link's Awakening. Like, they probably got it like 95% done and was like, yeah, we can have this out by November or whatever, September.
And then fix those release dates.
Yeah, and then they just give the engine to whatever to them and let them do it. Like how Grezzo made Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D, helped on A Link Between Worlds, and helped on Triforce Heroes, and Nintendo trusted them enough to give them the engine or let them reuse the engine for Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D to work on their own game, Ever Oasis, which Ever Oasis would have not existed if it were not for Grezzo working on Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D, because working on those remakes is what gave them the money and the experience and the engine that they used to make the game. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had the money to make their own game. They would have just had to make remakes and been paid to make them instead of paying to make their own game. But that's a different topic. Yeah. Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
Hi, Luke.
Hi, Game Over Jesse.
Hi, person behind
Luke. Are
Luke.
you the real Game Over Jesse?
No, I'm Give Jabby, Bud Jabby.
Game Over Jebby?
I'm
Are you
Game Over Jabby.
Are you Gibby?
Yes, I'm.
Game Over Jebby?
I would.
Game Over.
When I was in Texas.
Game Over Debbie?
I have a picture of when I was in Texas, and I was a dirty, dirty man.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Because we had to work. We had to work on a truck to fix a truck, so I had oil and grease and stuff all over.
Oh, okay.
And it was 110
Wink.
degrees, so I had sweat and dirt and everything all over me. So I looked like I don't know. I looked weird. So Texas makes me look weird, so I'm not Gibby.
Okay.
Oh, that's the context.
Because
Took me a minute.
Gibby doesn't look weird. He lives in Texas. When I'm in Texas, I look weird, so I'm not Gibby.
Because, okay. It makes sense.
I have no complaints.
Okay.
But you're 𝐴𝐵𝐷𝐬𝐵.
So, final question, guys. Pick it from the live chat. For the final question, after this, we're ending the podcast, people. Anyone?
Jorge asks, what if we actually got the option to make Zelda player one character? Like soloing the game with her. If there even is an option to co-op play or something. So if you could choose Link or Zelda, in theory, and just play as Zelda if you wanted.
Could I turn into Sheik?
No.
Okay. Which Zelda?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
2 Zelda.
Okay.
For Breath of the Wild 2 sequel.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Breath of Darkness.
I would play it with Link first, and after I beat the game, I would play it as Zelda.
Breath of Darkness.
Same answer. Breath of Darkness.
That's so cringy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Nintendo can do better than that.
They could do
I'm
way
gonna put
better
that in
than
the title of the video. It's like the Legend of
Do it.
Zelda: Breath of Darkness. Rumor.
Every single time Nintendo releases a title, it makes my skin crawl. So if that's the actual name, I'll be so cringed. I'll be like, "Are you kidding me?"
I know what you mean though when they do the reveal, Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
when they did that for Skyward Sword, I was like, "Oh," and like so forth. You know,
Mhm.
it was so cool.
And then before that, it gets a little hazy. I remember, to be honest, but
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did everybody answer the last question?
I think that would be.
Darkness.
Dang it, Daniel. Why? Okay. So if we actually got the option to make Zelda the player one character and being able to solo her and not play as Link at all, I feel like that'd be better for a spin-off game because the Zelda games are all about playing as Link, but that doesn't mean Link has to be the main focus. I would rather we always play as Link primarily, but I'm open to playing as other characters, definitely.
Sure, but what if it was just an option? Like, you could still just play as Link,
Hi, Sloth.
but you could just have the option to play as Zelda if you
I wouldn't really like the option either because it would take away from everything that
No
Link
options for you.
is.
You don't get to choose.
Like I'm sure
No
Zelda.
choosing.
I'm sure Zelda would have her own role in the adventure because last I checked, Zelda's not a warrior.
Yeah, I would
she
like.
uses magic.
Yeah, I would like Zelda to take the Sheikah Slate and use all of the magic and stuff, and then Link go back to his traditional weapons like normal bombs and stuff.
Yeah. That's how I would see it. Like, I think it would be really cool to play as Zelda, don't get me wrong. But I don't want her to be in Link's role.
Yeah. She would be overpowered. Like Zelda at the end of Breath of the Wild, where she just holds her hand out and like stops Ganon.
She does say after that she can't feel like she can use that power. She doesn't feel like she still has that power after that, and she's like, but I'm okay with that. I'm like, yeah, after 100 years of like it being in a nonstop battle, I don't blame her.
She didn't just destroy Ganon, she imploded Ganon.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, that was it. My powers are done. I can't do it anymore. Be like, well, went out with a bang at least. Like, made the best of it. So she wouldn't necessarily have that sealing power still in the sequel.
Probably. But if she like gave up her ability to use the Triforce in order to like stop Ganon. Like she just like used all of her prayer power or something like that. Like
She used
George
her
and
limit break and just
she used Limit Break. Oh my god.
Every attack she has is just a different version of an ancient era.
Basically,
wow.
I would say
just
so.
builds She just builds ancient arrows from scratch.
Yeah.
I can see that.
All right, so Luke.
Yeah.
Did everybody answer that right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for watching. If you fell in love with Luke being on the podcast as much as I did,
Didn't we all?
you can find him at his own YouTube channel and some other places. Luke, go ahead and tell them where they can find you and fall in love.
You're too kind, Jesse. All right, so yeah, I'm like Game Over Jesse said. I'm Hylian Luke. You can find my YouTube channel right here on YouTube. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know where I was going with that. So yep, you can
Right
find my
here on the Game Over Jesse's channel.
Luke, Hylian Luke is my YouTube name, and you can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hylian Luke. I do a lot of dual live streaming. I stream a lot of Zelda randomizers, so if you're a fan of like Wind Waker randomizer, Ocarina of Time randomizer, and recently Majora's Mask randomizer, I'm going through that right now. If you want to watch that, feel free to come subscribe to my channel, and you can watch it when I go live again on Monday. You can also follow me on Twitter at Hylian Luke. Follow me on Instagram, Hylian.Luke. And I think that's everything. I also, on my channel, you can check out my Discord servers and a few of my other social media pages.
You also did some streams on this channel before, right?
Yeah, I did. I played Wind Waker Randomizer as Goku, Kid Goku. And a lot of people loved that. And that's where the Glook meme formed, because everyone called me Game Over Luke, and then they shortened it to Glook, Gamer Luke. And I was like, I like it, let's keep it. And then it spread throughout this community, my community, and oddly enough, Nintendo Davies community. So, so I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So, Glook.
Now the origin story, it all makes sense.
Yeah, so that's how that happened. I was streaming on here, and then
The odds of that happening seems highly unlikely.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Not the worst joke I've told this week, but
that was so rude. I'm sorry. That was. I've heard that joke so much.
that was exactly the reaction I was hoping for.
Just
Outburst and then disappointment.
yeah. Basically.
Yeah, everyone, quickly, I posted a link to the Discord and Patreon, so if you want to support us on Patreon, you can do that. If you want to join our Discord and chat with us, and sometimes if we're looking for a guest to come on the podcast and we don't have anyone, and you have a decent microphone, you can come on the podcast with us if we're in desperate need of a guest. Just like Luke wasn't supposed to be on the podcast, but then he was in the chat, so we're just like, Luke, join the podcast. So that could happen to you. All you have to do is join the Discord and talk to us, get to know us and everything, and you can talk to everyone, give us ideas for new videos and stuff. You can support us on the Patreon. Luke, you can also post your Twitter and stuff in the chat if you want for people to follow you. I was posting Daniel's and I's Discord. Key of Time's there. Key of Time. You could have joined a podcast earlier if I would have seen you in the chat. We could have just been like, hey, dude, just join on Discord, but we couldn't see you. Daniel, where can people find more stuff from you and fall in love with your pretty nose glasses?
Well, I'm Daniel. You probably know me as Capt Burgerson, CaptBurgerson, on pretty much every platform. On Twitch, stream usually once or twice a week. I do the Zeldas as well. Sometimes other stuff, like we've been doing some Mario Maker stuff. Again, also Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I have my own channel, Capt Burgerson, and recently Patreon as well, but I have very, very little expectations for that. I don't want any obligations or anything like that. But yes, you can follow me on all those platforms. Come hang out when
Gus donated $1.90, but he didn't say anything.
Wow. Gus, thank you. Gus Lass.
Thank you, Gus Lass.
Thank you. But yeah, you can follow me, and we, the most fun part is just come hang out during live stream. We play some Zelda and whatever nonsense, and I tell bad jokes, and the occasional random YouTube video. And yeah, if you can't make my live streams on Twitch, then they do get archived on my YouTube channel as well. So that's all from me. That's who I am. But
All right.
Jesse.
I am 𝐵𝐴𝐤𝐺𝐠. Everything. We have a Facebook fan page where we post a lot of memes and cool stuff and our videos and everything. Key of Time 15 with $1. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really, that's awesome for you guys. Like, we're ending the podcast saying bye. You guys are being so nice. That's amazing. You, yes. We honestly usually never get super chats or anything like that, so it's really kind.
Yeah.
Unless it involves smacking Daniel or Daniel smacking me. Steve from Blue's Clues. I was singing Blue's Clues earlier.
How? Speaking of Blue's Clues, I sing the "We Just Got a Letter" song every single time I get a letter in Wind Waker.
I love it.
Yeah, and my randomizers, I always do that. Do the Mario voice.
Yeah,
it's me, Mario. Wahoo!
He paid $1 for you to do the Mario voice.
Love it.
I do want to play Blue's Clues. How do we play it, Steve from Blue's Clues? Didn't you get fired?
No, Jesse, he went to college, remember?
Oh. Okay.
Just like my dog went to the farm.
he went to a farm out in a big open field.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yes, we said yes. We want to play it. We already
Steve.
said yes. Honestly, though, that was one of the best streams ever. How was that one of the best streams ever, Abigail? We had so many technical issues, but thank you so much. Anyways, I'm 𝐵𝐴𝐤𝐺𝐠. Please follow me at
the slapping one.
twitter.com/𝐵𝐴𝐤𝐺𝐠. Follow me or follow our podcast at facebook.com/𝐵𝐴𝐤𝐺𝐠. It's the URL is facebook.com/𝐵𝐴𝐤𝐺𝐠, but the name of the page is the Hylian Gamescast, a Zelda podcast. And we post a lot of memes and stuff if you're into stuff like that, memes and whatnot, mostly Zelda related. And then we post, like if we have friends that make a Zelda video, we'll post it on there, or we'll talk about some of the stuff that we're doing early. It's also linked to my Instagram, so if I post something on Instagram, it automatically goes to Twitter and that Facebook page. So you get some screenshots and stuff from Zelda, but you also get some of my personal stuff, like if it's me doing something stupid or Layla and I out having fun or something like that, you get to see those. And also Instagram, like everything, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, everything is /𝐵𝐴𝐤𝐺𝐠. But the best thing you can do is go to the patreon.com/𝐵𝐴𝐤𝐺𝐠 or join our Discord with, there's a link in the chat now to go to the Discord. We have, that's not the Discord, that's Twitter. So our Discord, I believe, is still the most popular Zelda Discord in the world. We have more members than any other Zelda Discord ever. Because we have like 1,100 and something, or something like that. Have you guys seen a Zelda Discord with more people?
Nope.
Like Zelda specific or just Discord in general?
Zelda specific.
Zelda specific.
No.
How many members do you guys have?
Like
1,000.
1,100 and something, I think.
1,100. No, not really. No, I've never seen anyone.
Because I've been to like Zelda Universe and Zelda Dungeon and stuff, and like they didn't have that much. And they're like the #1 Zelda websites in the world. And other Zelda YouTube channels don't have as much either. So yeah, I would say we have the #1 Zelda Discord server in the world. And I'm really proud of that.
And it's surprisingly a pretty civil place.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty shocking.
Yeah, and some people want to complain that we have too many admins, but it's because we have all of those admins that it stays so safe. Like, if we had 2 admins or 10 admins, even if we had like 12 admins, that would not be enough.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Costin. That's so amazing. It looks like your picture's wearing a Link outfit. That's awesome. If you join the Discord after you become a Patreon supporter, you get a special role to where like you're basically an admin, but you're not an admin.
You do get a special.
Yeah, you become a champion. There's a link for the Patreon. Don't forget, if you want to support Dan, like if you're a fan of the podcast because of Daniel, he has his own YouTube channel. No,
You're
like
probably not,
there's people like there's a bunch of fans of 𝐿𝐴 that watch the podcast only when she's on.
Oh, whack.
Yeah, like if you go to her Discord server, you'll see some familiar people, but like they're not in our Discord server, but their usernames comes up in comments on videos that she's on our channel, and they're on her Discord, but they're not on ours. So it's like she has her own group of hardcore fans, which like you do with RPG. He's like a big fan of you. Yes, we're going to play Blue's Clues, Steve. I already said yes. Get the game going.
Please, come on, Dad. Oh yeah, if you guys have missed it in the chat, I've just Steve's my dad, by the way. he's
Steve is my dad.
Steve,
he's my
come
my
on.
dad.
He
Steve.
finally came back from the store.
He finally came back.
Steve, seriously. You asked if we wanted to play. We said yes. You didn't give us a link. You didn't start the game. How are we supposed to play? All you're doing is asking us if we want to play. We've already said 1,000 times, yes, we want to play. Don't get angry at us.
Steve.
Don't come to us and be like, so are we going to play Blue's Clues? When we already told you, yes, we're going to play Blue's Clues. You're the one slacking.
We're ready.
You're the one slacking. What do we want to learn today? That's up to you. You're the host.
Yeah, we're just here to learn and play Blue's Clues.
Yeah. Basically.
Burger Dad.
Burger Dad.
Abigail, you
I'm
should
the
join the
burger son.
podcast one day. Because, like, you're always around. Jorge, you should join the podcast one day, too. Capt Burger Dad. Steve the Burger Dad.
Or would he be General Burger Dad?
I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and end the podcast, I guess. It's almost
Okay.
3 a.m. for me.
Bye,
so.
Dad.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Javier. Bye, Eslo. Bye, Abigail. Bye, Jorge. Bye, Abigail. Bye, Jorge. Bye, Javier. Bye, Steve.
Dad. And Luke.
All
Goodbye, Luke.
We're learning about numbers. 0 is a number. It's how many friends you have. Not you, Steve, talking about myself. It would be an honor, senpai. Yeah,
What?
come on the podcast sometime when we need a guest.
Come join us.
I'm glad the podcast went successful after I got the Ethernet cable, right?
Join
Yes.
All
the
right.
city of misfits.
This was good.
All right, 3. Wait, did you say Town of Misfits?
No,
Isn't
city
that
of mystery.
isn't that the 𝐾𝐸𝐿 village in the Dark World?
I don't know.
What's that
Maybe.
called? Daniel, A Link to the Past,
Um,
𝐾𝐸𝐿 village. It's like the town of misfits.
Village of yeah.
Yeah, but that's also what the animated cartoon stop motion thing is.
Is it?
The island of misfit toys. Was
I
that
don't
Javier?
know.
Jesse likes you, but I smiley. What? I don't understand that, Javier. Like, explain what you mean by that. I don't understand, but I would like to. Anyways, have a good night, everyone. If you want to go ahead and super chat in the last 10 seconds, let me buy a Subway sandwich for $5. That would be great.
$5 foot long.
Yeah, $5 footlongs are now like $8.
It'll give you bad breath though. It'll give you breath of darkness.
$5 footlongs are now like $8.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they give you some Breath of the Wild, that's for sure.
All right. Counting down from 5. Yes, yeah, Jorge Senpai, we like you. We all like you. Yeah, we still have 21 people watch the podcast 2:48 in the morning. Yeah, well, some people it's like 5 p.m. for them. So I don't know. I mean, you invited him to the Discord. Yeah, everyone's able to come to the Discord. We invited everyone. Like we just said, we had the most popular Zelda Discord in the world, so everyone's invited. Even you, Javier.
Should I repost the link?
Yeah, repost the link. All right. Good night, everyone. We're leaving in 10. Everyone say whatever you have to say in the next 9 seconds. 8,
Bananas.
7,
You're all amazing.
6,
Love
5, 4,
Bye.
banana,
Awesome.
2,
Subscribe.
chicken nuggets,
you. Don't forget
green,
to like.
couch, breath of darkness.